What's up, everybody? I'm happy today because it's the day before a top 25 game that Nebraska actually has a chance to win. Not a top 25 against Michigan or a top 25 against somebody like Ohio State. This is a top 25 against a team who Nebraska, I want to say, competes and keeps it close with every year, but just hasn't gone that way over the last couple. But traditionally, Nebraska Illinois is a hard fought battle, and traditionally, Nebraska's come out on top. If you watched my Illinois preview, that video had stated Nebraska is 6-3 against Illinois since they joined the Big Ten. So there is hope here. There's a reason to believe that Nebraska is going to be in a really good position to win this game, but anything can happen. Today, just before we even get into it, I'm going to let you know this. This is going to be a chat-led show. It always is a chat-led show, but I'm going to make sure that anything you guys want to talk about, anything you want me to expand on, anything you want to hear about, whatever, we're going to get into it, and I'm going to go off what you guys have got to say. So with all that, let me say what's up to chat. Justin, how we doing? Travis says he's got the new Corn Crazed gear ready for tomorrow. Go Big Red. I love to hear that, Travis. Thank you for being a member of the channel. I see a bunch of members are here already. Tater, what's happening? It's going to be a good show, guys. It's going to be a good show because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about with recruiting. There's a lot to talk about with this game. There's a lot to talk about with this weekend. Obviously, you guys got some questions about this coaching search. So, yeah, it's been a really productive week. We put out a lot of content. If you haven't gotten to see, I put out 2 videos. I want to make sure you get a chance to check those out before tomorrow because I think they're both good. They're informative, I think is the right way to put it. My Illinois preview has my prediction for how this one's going to go in detail with what the actual facts are behind Illinois' defense, not just what it says on paper, right? Who they've played, what this team actually looks like, and how Nebraska can counter their productive. Both sides of the ball are productive, but they're one side that's particularly strong on paper. I also did that coaching search video, and in the coaching search video, I just talked about 5 guys who I think are deserving of the job. Not only deserving, but would potentially come and take it because this is a great place to be, right? This is a great place for a head coach. And there's a lot of coaches out there, like one at Ole Miss. You've seen his tweets. You've seen him on Instagram. He knows how to troll, and he's doing it intentionally. But the reality is he knows there is better out there, and he's going to end up at one of these places that has better to offer. It's just how soon will that happen, and is Nebraska a legitimate candidate in that search? Who knows? Something we can talk about. But yeah, guys, what's happening? We have got some comments about the Georgia commit, Bo Huffley, visiting. That's pretty positive for this weekend. We'll start with that because I think we should lead on a positive note. So Georgia's got this offensive tackle, 6'7", 290 pounds, the 13th ranked tackle in the country. He's coming this weekend for this Illinois game, even though he's already committed to Georgia. Obviously, this is a testament to Mickey Joseph's efforts because Mickey Joseph is the one who recruits number 1 the Southeast, and number 2, he just is the lead recruiter at Nebraska right now. So we know this is all him. I'm not sure that it matters in the scheme of things because the odds are this guy's going to Georgia. I mean, how do you turn down a team who's competing for national championships, who already has an offensive line coach, right? It's going to be really tough for Nebraska to swing a guy who's going to his home state school, where he's huge, and he's probably in a position where he could play in his 2nd or 3rd year. I just got to guess that, yeah, this is not going to happen. But it's cool to think there's a shot, right? Think of it this way. There are a lot of recruits who Nebraska isn't going to be in the running with. Another recruit that we'll talk about very shortly when we're talking about that discussion. But there's some guys who Nebraska won't be in the running with. But the fact that they're showing up shows that we have a coach who knows how to get them on the phone and knows how to build a relationship strong enough to get them to come. And there have been a lot of rumors that Scott Frost didn't have that, in the back of his head. He didn't have that desire to recruit to the same level that Mickey Joseph does. He had his own hobbies. We could say that because I don't know what he was doing. I'm not going to get into the rumors. But Scott Frost had his own hobbies, and it didn't feel like he was as invested into the recruiting side of Nebraska football as Mickey Joseph has been ever since he got here 11 months ago-ish. The guy, I heard on Twitter, this is not coming from anything that's reliable, it's just someone DM'd it to me. Supposedly, Mickey Joseph reached out to some of the high school playoff coaches in Nebraska, guys who don't even have players who would be good enough to play at Nebraska this year, let's say. And he's saying, hey, wishing you luck. I'm here supporting you, giving them tips and some ideas for the game or advice, whatever. but building those relationships, because he wants to make sure that maybe next year, the year before, the year after, whenever that time may be, that Nebraska has sown some goodwill in with these coaches around the state to make sure they're investing into their kids and building them out to be Nebraska football players, right? Making sure that that mentality is felt throughout the school. Because if the entire state of Nebraska is known for the best school to go, or the best coach and the best school to go play for is Mickey Joseph at Nebraska, a lot of these kids are going to start hearing that at, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. By the time they're in high school, it's a no-brainer. They're committing when they're freshmen, the same way you and I would commit because we're diehard, right? Nebraska's lost some guys. Who was one of them? Xavier Watts went to Notre Dame. I think he's a corner there now. Nebraska couldn't get him. They lost Keegan Johnson. Is that his name? I think it's his name. Keegan Johnson went to Iowa. He played last year. Pretty good. True freshman starter, I think. And then this year hasn't done anything. Wouldn't be surprised to see him enter the transfer portal. But the point is, Mickey Joseph is proving that he's a better recruiter than some of the other coaches have been. And he's proving that if he does get this job, he's going to be really successful in that aspect of the job. And even if he doesn't get the job, I've told you, he is still going to be here either way. And if he is here either way, this is going to do big things for Nebraska in the long term, because we're going to start to land a lot more players that should be on the field and should be playing over some of the guys who we might have been seeing playing over the last couple of years who just weren't able to get it done. Put it that way. Try to put these things in the nicest way possible. But yeah, I'm going to get to chat because I'm sure you guys have your own opinions about everything I just said. Here's a good one. Gannon says, do you think about Ben, I don't even know how to say his name, flips to Nebraska from Iowa State because the wide receiver class is stacked? I don't think anybody at Nebraska, or anybody who's not committed to Nebraska, when we're talking about receivers, is going to decommit from their current school and come to Nebraska. Nebraska's stacked at receiver, number one. They have a potential to go and land some more guys in the portal. That's a position where I just don't think we're going to have issues at anymore, as long as Mickey Joseph's here. He's going to be able to develop the right guys. He's going to find the right guys, and forever you have the transfer portal now. So, which as another topic we got to talk about today. But yeah, I don't think he's going to flip. And I don't think Nebraska necessarily needs him. They have a lot of other guys. Speaking of, there's another visitor for this week. His name's Barry Jackson. You guys have heard about him for sure. Why isn't my button working? Oh, clicked the wrong button. So Barry Jackson is from Georgia. Same as that Bo guy, the lineman. And Barry has been recruited by Mickey Joseph for I don't know how long. I'm not sure if he was being talked to before he even came to Nebraska or what the deal is. But the point is, Nebraska's going to be fine at receiver. This is a 3-star guy from Georgia. Mickey knows how to identify talent. Weirdly or oddly enough, this guy doesn't have many Power 5 offers. He's got Kansas, Louisville, Mississippi State. That's it. Yeah, Duke and Nebraska. So Mickey Joseph sees the talent, thinks there's something he can build on there, I guess. But this is a guy who will be here this week, and I would not be surprised if Nebraska lands him as long as Mickey's here. I think this is a guy who comes to Nebraska as long as Mickey's here. That would give us Malachi Coleman, Barry Jackson, and I'm sure Nebraska has some others committed to this class already. Let's see real quick. Omarion Miller, that's who it was. You got 3 guys and Jaden Doss. So Omarion Miller's a 4-star, Malachi's a 4-star, and then Jaden Doss and Barry Jackson are both 3 stars, but all recruited by Mickey, all guys who he thinks he can build. Ben Brahmer, he's from Nebraska. So we're not going to need to worry about any other guys. Barry Jackson already committed. Yeah, my bad, guys. I didn't even realize Barry Jackson's already committed to Nebraska. But you get the point. We're stacked at receiver. There are a lot of other positions in need, though. So why would other receivers come here, right? Why would Nebraska float any other scholarship offers out to guys when they need to use those for offensive line or defensive line, linebacker, edge rusher, right? I think those are areas of concern, and receiver's not one of them. Don't want to get too caught up on it. But you guys know this already. Let's see here. Brett says, if we start landing some of these big name guys, does that put pressure on Trev to hire Mickey Joseph as the head coach? No, I do not think it does. Trev has pressure to find the right head coach who wants to work with Mickey Joseph, 1,000%. There's a lot of pressure to make sure Mickey Joseph leaves, or doesn't leave, sorry. If Mickey Joseph did end up leaving, could you imagine the backlash? Nebraska fans would be hurting. They'd be upset. They'd be angry. They would say, what the hell did you do? Or what the hell did you not do to make sure he stayed, right? This is a guy who has shown he has great energy for the program. He's passionate about it. He wants to see this thing get turned around, even if he's not going to be the head coach here next year and has to take another role on the team, which I think is the most likely situation. But there's nothing wrong with that, like we've said. Trev has a lot of pressure to make sure Mickey Joseph stays here in some capacity. But making him the head coach, no, I don't think there's much pressure. Even if he was to flip Dylan Raiola, I don't think there's much pressure because you get him either way. So think of it this way, and I think I might have mentioned this in my coach video from earlier this week. You're Trev Alberts. You are Trev Alberts. You have a choice, okay? You have this pool of money that you can go out and get from donors. They've already given you $180 million for the brand new nice facility. Trust me, they're going to be willing to front up a little extra cash to make sure they get the right head coach in here. Promise you that. You don't build the facility and then not bring the right head coach, okay? You're Trev Alberts. You have a choice. I can either go with Mickey Joseph and allow him to search around the country to find the best defensive coordinator, the best offensive coordinator, the best offensive line coach, the best whatever other coaches he needs to hire, okay? That's option one. And with option one comes the assumption that we all know. It's hard to find the right offensive coordinator and the right defensive coordinator because you're going to have to take them. If you get lucky, you could get one from a big name school, but more than likely, you're going to have to take them from a smaller school, okay? Unless you say I'm going to go get Vance Joseph, his brother, which is also a possibility. But the point is, the odds are it's going to be a risk you run. Option one. Option two, the option I prefer, the option I think Trev is leaning towards, and the option that, to me, screams common sense. Trev says, okay, I've got Mickey Joseph in the bag. This guy wants to be here. I will throw money at him to make him the highest paid position coach or associate head coach in the country. But there's a guy out there. Let's just use a random name. Dave Aranda. Dave Aranda is on the table. He's going to cost everything. It's going to be, $10 million a year, let's say, and a huge buyout, whatever. But he's a proven defensive coordinator, a proven defensive mind. He would work with Mickey well. Mickey already knows him. Bill Busch already knows him. So he'd keep two of the best coaches that Nebraska has in Mickey and Bill Busch, for sure. Everybody else I'm not worried about because those things will work itself out. Why would you go with option one, which isn't a sure thing, when you've got option two, which would be a sure thing, a proven defensive coordinator, a proven Mickey Joseph, a proven Bill Busch, all working together? It would be more expensive, but what do we care? We're not the donors. It's not our money. What do the donors care? They have unlimited cash. I promise you, they're not hurting. So money's not the issue. Let's bring in the sure thing and not run this risk of hiring the wrong offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator or position coach group. Because Mickey Joseph hasn't had to do that yet. Mickey Joseph hasn't had to go out and build a staff. Mickey Joseph has inherited this staff, and he's found ways to work with them and restructure them a bit. He got rid of a guy, and I'm sure he's going to get rid of more if he was to be named head coach at the end of the season. But it's a lot of pressure for Mickey to have to be the main recruiter, to be the wide receivers coach, to lead the entire program, to work with donors, to do all of these things in his first ever job. And tell me if I'm wrong. He's going to have to, in his first year, learn how to navigate NIL, learn how to deal with the recruiting on a higher level, deal with all the media stuff, deal with all of the things he has to do in oversight of the entire staff, of all his players. Plus, on top of that, he's got to coach the X's and O's and be on top of his offensive coordinator and his defensive coordinator. Plus, on top of that, he's got to go and build this staff out. It's a lot. It's a lot. Why? Why put ourselves through that? Why run the risk in his first ever job? If anybody can tell me why, I would love to hear it. But we're getting him either way, even if you go out and get his friend Dave Aranda. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. Thank you, Jeremy, for becoming a member. We appreciate the support. It makes it so I can find your comments easier when you do that. Let me get to chat, because, yeah, I've been ignoring chat. I've been neglecting you guys. Gannon says, do you think Nebraska could go after an OC or a DC for a head coach? Or do you think that Nebraska will go for someone who has already been a head coach? And that kind of gets us back to what I was saying right now, or just a minute ago. me get more center. Okay. What I was saying just now was you've got Mickey Joseph, who hasn't done it before. Why not go and get the coach who has done it before, right? You can go and get an elite defensive coordinator. Look at what Oregon did. They did it last year. They're like 6-1. They had one blowout loss, but I think they're in pretty good position to make the Pac-12 championship and potentially go to a New Year's Six bowl. So Dan Lanning has turned it around. Nebraska could potentially do that with the right guy, but who's the right guy? Who has enough experience in that role? Like a Brent Venables. Brent Venables was groomed to be a head coach for years, and he finally got his chance. So yeah, is there the right guy out there? Probably. I haven't heard the name thrown around yet. That isn't something we've talked about. We've mainly talked about Mickey Joseph or an onslaught of other head coaches around the country. So just my thought. Moonbot says, I think Mickey already has the job. I would be shocked. I think that this is like a 1% chance that's true. Here's why people talk about the wins and losses for Mickey. Because Mickey doesn't have a resume. Mickey has a resume for his job. Mickey doesn't have a resume for a head coaching job. So this season, this 2022 post-Scott Frost era, is where he builds it out. And I think there's a really good chance he could do enough to convince Trev. I have no doubt that he could. He's a really capable guy. He's smart. He could be a head coach. He's a great face. Okay. But he's got to do something to show Trev, I'm ready. So what's he done in the first 4 weeks to show I'm ready? He's done the same thing any other interim head coach would have done. Just keeping it honest. He did recruit Malachi Coleman and get that commitment. That's massive. All credit deserved. Huge pickup. Huge play by Mickey. When all the cards were looking like it could have gone to Georgia or Oregon or somewhere else, Mickey was able to keep that and hold it down. But outside of that, if someone in chat can name 5 things Mickey Joseph has done since he took over that have made him worthy of this job, I would love to hear them. I can't name 5. He reinvigorated the culture. He brought in better recruiting. He made tough decisions to get rid of some guys on the staff. That's 3. What are the other 2? Honestly. He didn't coach at an FCS school, I don't think. He coached like a D3 is my understanding. We could find out, though. Let's find out together. Mickey Joseph. Wikipedia. I love doing this with you guys because this would be so boring to sit here on my own in my apartment right now the day before the game, just looking stuff up, nobody to talk to about it. Okay. He was the head coach, bang bang, at Langston. What is Langston? Langston University. It's an HBCU. Is it? NAIA. NAIA. So NAIA is it below it's below FCS? It's basically D2. I think NAIA and D2 are kind of on the same level. That's my understanding of NAIA. So he was an NAIA head coach. Nothing wrong with that. But that's not and he only did it for 1 year. To me, that's not enough experience. So I'm not sure. Okay. Cody says he plays the best guys, doesn't pick favorites, does well in the recruiting and the press conference. Says CFB says he simplified the defense. I give that credit to Bill Busch. Can't take anything away from Bill Busch. That guy is the man. I think Bill Busch needs to be here next year. Not sure if the new head coach would want him as a defensive coordinator, but that guy's a stud and he needs a spot on this team or on this staff. And he's going to get one. Guy's awesome. Bill Busch is the man. He's done so much. Bill and Mickey, dynamic duo. Travis says Mickey doesn't have the job yet. Connor's explaining it perfectly why he may not be ready. And yeah, it's tough, guys. It's fantasy land to believe that these coaches can just come in and succeed right away. I think there's a chance for everybody. There's no doubt in my mind that I could be wrong about everything I'm saying about Mickey, and that even though there's no proven track record, that he could come in and win right away. I believe that is a probability. I don't know how high I would rank that probability, but it is a probability. But you are the University of Nebraska. You have been in the gutter. The gutter. Like, me and you embarrassed to wear Nebraska stuff some days. Me and you not being able to have normal discussions with other college football fans because our opinion doesn't matter because all they can do is laugh about Nebraska, okay? Nebraska's been down bad. Do you run the risk of saying, okay, Mickey might be the guy? That's a risk. Or do you say, we're gonna take the most sure thing we can find because we're tired of being in the fucking gutter? You take the most sure thing. The odds are not in our favor. So let's try and do something that gets our odds a little bit better. Just a little bit. Because I cannot afford, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how long I'm going to live. I cannot go another 20 years of my life with shitty football. I'm already upset. I'm already stressed out. I got wrinkles on my forehead. I swear to God, you can't tell in this lighting, but there's wrinkles like getting established right here. Because I'm stressed out. I promise you it's from Nebraska. I promise you. Because before I had this channel, I didn't have those wrinkles. It's a risk that Trev would have to run. And does Trev run that risk knowing that if he fails, he's out? Because here's the thing. That is a big time decision you make, right? It's one thing to say, oh, well, I took a shot on Dave Aranda for $10 million and it didn't work out. He failed as a head coach. He never won more than 6 games and he had to get fired. Ah, man, you hired a guy who had just come off a Sugar Bowl victory at Baylor in a 12-win season. He had the top offense in the country at Wisconsin, a top 30 offense at LSU, and he had a national championship ring. That's a failure, but it's a forgivable failure. Or do you say, we gave you everything. We built you a $180 million facility. We said, take all the money you need and go find the right guy. And you said, screw it. I'm taking my shot. I'm running a risk. Listen, if he was successful, Trev Alberts would be a king. Trev Alberts would be like, Tom Osborne level at Nebraska. It'd be like, wow, this guy really took a shot on a guy who'd never been an offensive coordinator? Made him the head coach after being at Nebraska for less than 1 year as a coach? You gave him that job and he succeeded? Okay, get on your knees. We're going to bring in somebody from England to knight you and put a crown on you. That's how I feel Trev would be treated if Mickey did succeed after he hired him. Because it would be against all odds, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everything I'm saying doesn't make sense. I'm just guessing. Because we're down bad, man. We're in a position where we gotta get something going right. Husker JPEG says, people thought Frost was a sure thing. They did. And that was a great hire. Let me explain. At the time, Nebraska had, $5 million to $7 million a year to throw around. And they had to get the best case scenario. They had to make sure they could get a guy who would rebuild what was broken. If you look back at all those coaches, you had, I think Dan Mullen was one of them. You had Scott Frost. I don't even remember the other ones that got hired that year. But the point is, Scott Frost had the best resume. Scott Frost had the ties that were unbelievably perfect for this job. Former quarterback, could communicate with his former head coach, understood the culture, knew what it would take to rebuild. I mean, everything said on paper, in the media, on his face, everything said this is the right guy. That's a great hire. And Nebraska was able to get him over some other big schools. Because he could have said, no, I'm not going to go there and run the risk of failing. Because then Nebraska will hate me. Like right now, he can't come back to Nebraska. It's just weird vibes, right? So, yeah, that was a great hire. It didn't work out, and in hindsight, it was terrible, right? But that was a really good hire. If Nebraska could go and make another hire as good as what they did with Frost, I would be ecstatic. You run the risk always, though, of will it work out or won't it work out? It's always going to be a risk. It's a lower risk if you take a guy who has proven head coach experience. One of the things we talk about is let's not make the same Scott Frost mistake we made that time. The Scott Frost mistake was we took a guy who has only done, or what was it? He had only done was it his third year? Whatever it was. He had only done 2 years as a head coach, let's say. And we said, oh, that's enough. 2 years as a head coach at an American conference school. That's good enough. Come in. He wasn't ready for a head coaching job of this magnitude. You live and you learn. And what we learned from that was find a guy who does have enough experience, who does have the mental capability to manage all things that go into being the head, all things that go into being the CEO of Walmart. Because that's what Nebraska is. It's a $100 million brand with a bunch of moving pieces, 100 plus employees, and Scott Frost manages all of it. So he failed at that. The next guy who comes in is going to have to be able to do that. And personally, I feel like you got to get a guy who's done it before or has shown signs he can do it. And Mickey has shown signs he can do it, but just a risky run. It's just my thought. I could be wrong. Everything I could be saying could get thrown back in my face. And if Mickey Joseph does get hired and if he is made the coach, I will be 1000% behind him. I will hope everything I've said is wrong. I will be the biggest Mickey Joseph fan of all time. But I will be looking at Trev Alberts with a side eye like, hey, bro, you're next on the line. Because if this doesn't work out, chopping block, you're next up. You're the new Scott Frost. Chopping block is coming if it doesn't work out because you ran that risk. Now, if Trev Alberts said, oh, well, I'm going to bring in Dave Aranda or Lane Kiffin, and it didn't work out, oh, man, it is what it is. You took a shot, and you hope those guys will work out with their proven success. Just my thought. I could be wrong. Let me get back to chat. I know I got on a tangent, but, I'm passionate about this, guys. I want to make sure we get the right guy in. I want to make sure that you guys have all the information so you don't just blindly vote based on what? 2-2 record and some recruits committing. The new coach coming in can get players. I promise you that. He can do a lot with Mickey Joseph and help get players. Let's see here. Duff and Stuff says if 2 years wasn't enough, do we cross off Aranda and Leipold from the list? Okay, so Leipold has 2 years in Power 5. He has 5 to 7 years in non-Power 5. And he has like 7 years in D3 or something like that. He has this coaching track record that spans 16 years. He's not a proven Power 5 coach, a proven Power 5 head coach yet, but here's what he's done. He took a team who was in the gutter, as bad as Nebraska, in Kansas, and rebuilt them. That is a huge bonus on a resume. That's something Nebraska needs. So I wouldn't cross him off the list because he's done something that a lot of coaches haven't done, which is take a team who's been at 0 and pump them all the way up. So I think that's huge. Dave Aranda. So here's the thing with Dave Aranda. Yeah, he's only a 2-year head coach. But that guy coaches defense like no other. And he did it in the Big Ten at the highest level at Wisconsin. Had the number 2 defense, I think, 2 years. Had a top 5 defense the rest of the time, and a number 8 or 9 defense 1 year. I don't know what it was, but he had a top 10 defense the entire time he was there. And yeah, his 2 years of coaching at Baylor is probably enough. He wasn't my first choice. My first choice would be a guy who has a little bit more experience, like a Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's very experienced in this department, and he's rebuilt programs, and he's won, and he has a good offense, and he's made great hires, and he's a great recruit. Let me stop, because I don't want to get you too excited about a thing that I don't think is realistic. But the odds are we're going to have to settle with some flaws on one of these coaches. You're not getting Urban Meyer, right? So what flaws do we accept? Do we accept a Leipold flaw of not as much Power 5 head coaching experience, but is a proven program builder? Do we accept Mickey Joseph's flaw of no Power 5 coordinator experience or head coaching experience outside of this year, but is a great recruiter and a great culture builder? Okay. Or do we accept, I don't even know, Mark Stoops, who it took him a long time to get to a bowl game. He's been very average on offense ever since he's been there, but he does have a good defense. He has won in the SEC. He has been a good player developer. So there's going to be some flaws with every option that we look at, right? You're just going to have to settle. We're not going to be able to pick our perfect candidate because that doesn't exist for Nebraska, unfortunately. At least I don't think it does. Maybe Trev Alberts has somebody in his back pocket that we haven't even talked about, and that guy shows up and we're like, wow, he was Prince Charming and we didn't even know he existed until today. I don't think that's realistic. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. Tyler says, just because Mickey's beaten two of the worst teams in the Big Ten doesn't mean we can compete with some of the top teams. And yeah, that's one thing. It's we want to. If Mickey was going to be like a sure thing for next head coach, it would be beat Michigan. If he's going out and beating the top teams in the country, it's like, oh wow, okay, wait, this guy is ready to roll now. This guy did a crazy roster turnaround, and he's recruiting, and he's built the culture back, and they're winning every game. This is a guy we need, right? So, yeah, he hasn't done that. Which, no knock to him. He's not expected to. Mickey's done more than I expected. Mickey's done a better job as an interim head coach than I would have hoped he would. That's saying something. Mickey's done enough to earn a pay upgrade yet, or a pay increase next year. That's saying something. I'm getting through chat, guys. I'm coming. Travis says you think Nebraska can't get Kiffin. Yeah, so I think it's a long shot. So Lane Kiffin is from California, basically. And he was the offensive coordinator at USC for a while. He was on the national championship team in 2005 as the offensive coordinator with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart. He then got that head coaching job at Tennessee. That was his start in the SEC. Then he bounced over to the Pac-12 to be, or Pac-10 to be the head coach at SC. Things didn't really go that well there. He had Matt Barkley, I think. That was his quarterback. He had a 10-win year, but nothing too exciting during that time. Then he bounces over to the Southeast again, over to Nick Saban's School of Rehabilitation. And Nick Saban got his head right, turned him into a great offensive coordinator, improved his offensive mind even more than he had already had. And yeah, now Lane Kiffin gets back to FAU and now to Ole Miss, and things just feel good for Lane Kiffin in the Southeast. And my opinion is, with his ties to that area and with his experience at Alabama and at Ole Miss, he knows how to beat SEC schools now. I just have to guess that Lane wants to be at an SEC school because it's a sure thing. Lane is a really good coach. He wins a lot of games. And if you come to Nebraska, you throw off the rhythm because you have to play against Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State. And those are teams that Lane Kiffin hasn't played or hasn't had to play. Why take a chance at tanking your career when you could just stay in the SEC, maybe move on to Auburn, which is a better job than Ole Miss, maybe eventually get to, I don't know, Florida, which is a better job than Ole Miss, or wherever, and just continue your rise? It's a risk he would have to run, and I think he's really calculated, so I don't think he would take that chance. That's just my guess, though. He could very well say, screw it. I want to be at the best school, one of the best schools in the country. I want to be around the best fans in the country. I want undying support. I want unlimited money. I want to be with a guy like Mickey Joseph who can recruit like crazy. I'm doing it. I'm out of Ole Miss and I'm going to Nebraska, which is a better overall job. I don't see it. I don't see it. There's a path, but I don't even know what that path would be. Gary, thank you for the $20 super chat. Always appreciate you being here and supporting the show. Do you think MJ is a good assistant coach for Nebraska? I think MJ is the #1 assistant coach that Nebraska's had in the last 10 years. I think MJ is elite at his job. Well, I know he is. It's not even a think. This isn't like a opinion, right? This is a fact. Mickey Joseph has proven himself time and time again. He's now proving himself another time. He's already done it with receiver coaching, right? He's got Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He recruited Boutte to LSU, who was a 5-star. He had Terrence Marshall. He had so many guys. He's now got Trey Palmer at Nebraska. I mean, this guy's an elite wide receivers coach. On top of that, Mickey Joseph has now become an even better recruiter because he's had to do it at a tougher school like Nebraska than LSU, because LSU was easier to recruit to. On top of that, he now has the assistant head coaching experience, or the associate head coach experience, plus the interim tag. I mean, yeah, this guy is the #1 assistant coach at Nebraska and arguably one of the top 5 assistant coaches in the country. Yeah, this guy's a freak. Yeah, freak. I love him. Mickey's awesome. We're so lucky we have him. This was the best hire Scott Frost could have ever made, and it's the one gift he gave us before he left. 5-Star Media says, just beat Iowa and you hired Mickey. No, so I talked about this a week ago. Trev Alberts is going to know who the head coach is by that game. So Mickey Joseph's last stand would be the Wisconsin game on November 19th. So maybe November 19th, Trev Alberts has to make his final decision. And on November 26th is the Iowa game. I would say the next day after, which is Saturday, Trev Alberts would likely announce the next head coach. So Iowa would be too late. His final game to make an impact would be Wisconsin. Moonbot says, Connor, you just said a year isn't enough track record. So even if he wins out, you wouldn't want him by your own logic. Yeah, so that's a special circumstance. If he won out, he would beat a top 5 team in the country, and he'd do it with no offensive line. That, under those circumstances, would be so impressive, you would have to give him the job, I think. I think there's still a risk you run, but there are a lot of coaches who wouldn't be able to beat Michigan with this offensive line. So that says something. Oh, and it's on the road. I mean, that's unbelievably impressive. So that's such a unique circumstance, and it's so unlikely to happen, right? Nebraska beating Michigan at Michigan is like a, 1% chance of happening? Yeah, I mean, it's something I don't even talk about, but yeah, by my own logic, I hear what you're saying, but no, my own logic says if he was to run the table, he deserves the job because that's a massive resume booster. That's something that goes on the resume that no other coach in the country would be able to say. He'd be the only one. Very special circumstance. Jake says Tomlin is one of the best. He can rebuild an NFL team midseason. Yeah, but people have talked about Mike Tomlin. Are people asking if Mike Tomlin's a potential for Nebraska? I'm confused whenever I see his name because he's not. Mike Tomlin's not leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers to come coach at Nebraska. But I don't, maybe that's not what people are saying. I have seen that comment though before, and it's very confusing. Joel says, I'm going to start a rebuttal video. I got to preach. It's the players that win games, not the coach. MJ has the players. He'll compete at any level. Just give him a chance. You're right. The players do win games. I agree with that 100%. But the head coach has to make the right hires to make guys who call good plays, who develop the players the right way. Scott Frost didn't do a very good job at that. If you look at a lot of Nebraska's assistant coaches over the last few years, they have been not very good. Nebraska had a lot of good players come in. Those players didn't last very long. They either had to transfer out because the play calls and the scheme was terrible, or other situations, and they weren't developed the right way. There were a ton of issues. Mickey Joseph is a player's coach. Mickey Joseph develops players. What staff is Mickey Joseph going to hire? What experience does he have in that realm? What coaches want to come work for Mickey Joseph, right? Mickey Joseph has never been a head coach before. It's tough. I'm not saying it can't be done. And I agree 100% with your statement that the players play the games, not the coach. But there are a lot of things that go into this coaching job, and there's a reason these coaches are making $10 million a year. It's more than just the players. The players are a big part, though. I agree with you. Dash Camera says we could rehire Scott Frost and work towards an 0-12 season. Yeah, we could rehire Scott Frost. That might be good. Maybe give him a restart. I like that idea. Okay. Jason says Lane Kiffin was born in Lincoln. Yeah, he was born in Lincoln and probably lived there for 3 years as a baby before he moved. High Mountain Guy says beat a ranked team for the first time in a long time. Do it at home. Then let's talk. Love Mickey, but why Nebraska fans fall in love with the first date is beyond me. I think it's a fear of losing them. That's going to be my guess. So you know how a guy will meet a really hot girl and he'll nail them one time? I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but my friends do this all the time. I got one friend in particular I'm thinking about. And after he gets her once, he's like, bro, she's amazing, this, that. I'm like, what are you talking about? You met her and this happened and there's a billion other girls in the world. No, she's special, this, that, whatever. Then she breaks his heart or whatever happens. But why did he get so deep in? Because he was afraid that if he didn't lock it down, she would leave his ass. And it happens all the time because if you don't go all in, they leave, which I understand because people are thinking, oh, well, Mickey Joseph is so beautiful. You know what I'm talking about. Mickey Joseph's so beautiful. Colorado might want him or Arizona State might want him. Yo, let's be real. This guy's a great coach, but there are a lot of schools who are going to ask the same questions that we ask. Is he ready? And in this circumstance, Nebraska's a great place, and Mickey wants to be here. So we don't need to give him everything. We don't need to put a ring on his finger. for him to say, yeah, I want to be a I want to be a coach here next year in some capacity. Just tell him you love him, give him a Range Rover or a Bentley, put him in a nice house, make him the most paid out of every other coach in the country, and you're straight. Nebraska can do that. But we don't need to fall in love too quick and be afraid of getting our heart broken. He's not going anywhere. With the right head coach, which Trev has the capacity to do, Mickey Joseph is going to say, yes, I'm staying for this. This is a fantastic situation. Think of it that way. Nebraska fans do get nervous, though. I think that's what it is. They're afraid if we don't lock him down, he's going to leave us. Come on, man. Nebraska's Nebraska. Jillo says you were insane to think he's a top recruiter. Okay, I've only mentioned 2 guys so far. I've mentioned Lane Kiffin and I've mentioned Mickey Joseph. Argue with me. Argue with me right now in the chat. Tell me 3 things. And I could be wrong. You could be talking about something else and I'm calling you out, and I'm sorry if I am. My apologies that I'm putting you on the spot. But if you're saying you're insane to think he's a top recruiter about Mickey Joseph or Lane Kiffin, are you on drugs? Are you okay there? What? Oh, okay. Jillo's been trashing MJ nonstop for 20 minutes. Okay, that makes sense. Jillo, thank you for being here, but I unfortunately can't respond to your comments because you're trolling. And yeah, I'm not good with trolls. I'm not good with trolls. Jackson, thank you for the $2 super chat. And thank you for the fantastic segue into something I've been really excited about talking about. Guys, I'm sure you want to hear about this too. But we'll come back to all the coach stuff later. Okay, so there's a very big name coming to Nebraska this weekend. All right, so Dylan Raiola is the son of offensive line coach Donovan Raiola. You already knew that. Or no, the nephew of Donovan Raiola. Dylan Raiola is the son of Dominic Raiola, who's a former All-American Nebraska player, All-Pro NFL center. Okay, doesn't matter. You guys know who this guy is. A few months ago, he came to the spring game, I believe it was. Signed autographs, pictures with babies, the whole thing. Nebraska laid out the red carpet. Really wanted to get him here. He's the number 1... Pull this up. Let me show you guys. This guy's awesome. This is the number 1 quarterback in the nation. The number 1 player in his class for 2024, which is not this cycle, but the next one, okay? So he's what, a sophomore? Whatever, it doesn't matter. He's not committed, or he can't sign yet, but he is committed to Ohio State right now. Okay. He's coming this weekend. And I saw this post today from Inside Nebraska, which we love Inside Nebraska. Inside Nebraska is where my cousin works. My cousin actually made this graphic. But anyway, it says, let me minimize this chat so you see it. It says, 5-star visitor. The number 1 player in the class of 2024 is taking an unofficial visit to Nebraska this weekend. 1,639 likes, 104 retweets. People are hyped. This is Ohio State's quarterback. Ohio State's next quarterback is coming to Nebraska with his little brother because Nebraska just offered him. And maybe he's coming to hang out with his uncle because he's got nothing else to do this weekend. But this guy is not coming to Nebraska. They have 0 chance to get him here unless Ryan Day was to leave Ohio State for Nebraska, or if Ryan Day left Ohio State for the NFL. There's like a 2% chance of that happening, so there's still hope. Or if Nebraska somehow got some insanely great head coach next year who came in and rebuilt this program and was a quarterback guru and could convince him to flip. And if Nebraska gave him about $7 to $12 million in NIL deals. Then we got him. That's it. It's possible. It's possible. But this 1,641 likes now will make you believe it's likely. Okay, no, it's not happening. It's 0% chance it's not happening. This is nice of him to come visit his uncle, but he's not visiting Nebraska because he's Ohio State's quarterback. Let's not forget. This guy is going to Ohio State. I don't think he follows one Nebraska player on Twitter or Instagram. Not one. Like, he has no relationships with the team because he's not coming here. He's friends with the Ohio State guys where he's going to school. So, yeah, Dylan Raiola coming is a splashy headline, and yeah, he's set for an unofficial visit. No, he's not. His brother, who's a freshman in high school, is taking an unofficial visit. This guy's his guest. This guy's a guest of his uncle. That's not Nebraska's next quarterback. So I'm just giving it to you guys straight. Don't get your hopes up. This guy is not coming to Nebraska. He's not coming to Nebraska with Mickey Joseph. Okay, here. Think of it this way. Or no, let's play a game. What's worse? Firing his uncle or the uncle staying, but Dylan having to play behind that offensive line? I mean, it's a tough predicament. I don't know that he would want to play behind his uncle's offensive line at this point. Not saying his uncle is a terrible offensive line coach. I just don't know that his uncle is a very good offensive line coach since he wasn't able to make this offensive line any better than they were last year. It's just my opinion that he's just kind of average, right? He could very well be better than we think, and he was just dealt a really horrific hand. But I'm just going to guess he's an average offensive line coach. The odds are Mickey Joseph flushes him out, or a new head coach flushes him out and tries to get someone a little bit more proven, okay? Just my thought. Or you keep, or you, no, now we say he's fired. So we started with keeping him. So now the offensive line coach is fired. Does Dylan Raiola want to come to a school where his uncle was just fired? And his uncle's probably like, yo, that's BS. I didn't even get a fair shake. I inherited, whatever I inherited, and I couldn't turn it around, and now I'm already gone? I mean, what's that conversation going to be like at home? It's an odd predicament, and there's no good situation here. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway, because Ryan Day would have to be flushed at Ohio State, or Nebraska would have to turn it around in some crazy way. Nebraska would need to win 9 games next year, at a minimum. Nebraska's offensive line would have to be a major improvement. I mean, they'd have to be able to protect the quarterback next year. It's a lot to ask in year 1. It could be done. It could happen, but it's a lot to ask. But for now, that face right there is Ohio State's next Heisman contending quarterback who leads them to a national championship and walks into Lincoln at one point and probably throws for 300 plus. I'm just saying. So yeah, that's my take on Dylan Raiola. I want him though, of course. I mean, that guy's awesome. That guy's the number 1 quarterback in his class, stud, great. But yeah, that one's going to be real tough. Cole, is there proof to this? Is there any proof anywhere that says Trev hired Mickey Joseph? Because I think Scott Frost made all his own hires. And Scott Frost tried to hire Mickey Joseph before Trev even came into the picture a couple years before. So I'm not sure that's so true. Unless you have proof somewhere, I'd love to see it so I know the full story because I didn't know. I did not know. Ryan, funny comment. Just going to leave it there. I'm checking the chat, guys. I'm getting back to chat because I like to be in here with you. Ryan says the NIL deals could happen. Yeah, I don't know how likely they are of happening. $10 million for Nebraska would be real tough, but, anything is possible. Grow the Farm Up says Trev Alberts gets 1 hire as Nebraska AD. It will not be Mickey Joseph. They're going to clean the whole house out. Get rid of everyone. We need a head coach with experience. The coaches, Trev gets 3 years. Okay, so I have a different opinion here. I do agree with the first part of the statement saying that he gets 1 chance, 1 hire, and that's going to be his legacy. The odds are low that he'll go with Mickey. I agree. I don't think they're cleaning the whole house out. I think Mickey gets to stay. I think that there's a really good chance Bill Busch gets to stay. And I think there's a chance that Becton or Applewhite gets to stay. The odds are slim that you'd get all 3 or all 4. I feel pretty good about 2 of them. I feel really good about 2 of them. So that says something. This is going to be the tough part about getting 5 stars right away, guys. So Mickey won't be able to get a 5-star this year because this comment. Go to a place that develops QBs and puts them in the league. Plus, he doesn't have to worry about the staff getting fired, etc. So if we learned anything from this season, nothing's a sure thing, right? You can rebuild the staff. You can go and get a bunch of guys from the transfer portal, and it still doesn't mean you're going to get to 8 wins. And kids recognize that, and they see it. And when they look around the country at what's going on, they're going to say, I can go to a sure thing like an Ohio State, a Georgia, whatever, not Florida, like Michigan, somewhere that's been consistent over the last 3-4 years, and I can supplant myself in that, and then I can make sure that I put myself in the best position to succeed. Or I can go to Nebraska where things haven't worked out, and there are a lot of question marks still, and it just doesn't feel very likely. So I think we're a coach away. We're some proven success away, maybe an 8-win season, before we can even get in the conversation for talking about getting the number 1 quarterback in the country. That's my opinion. We'd also need to have a really good quarterback. Like Casey Thompson or whoever the quarterback is next year would have to absolutely go off in our offense to show Dylan that he would be in good hands here, you know? So who knows? It's a tough situation we're in, so I don't know. Roger says 5 stars are overrated. Huh. I'd love to I don't even know what to say to this because it's just not true. It's just not true. The best teams in the country are loaded with 5 stars. It's just the facts. The best teams in the country are loaded with the top talent in the country. The best teams are Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. Who do they recruit? 5 stars? Sure. 3 stars slip in and get developed. Sure. 4 stars too. But there are more 5 stars who turn out as NFL prospects or NFL draft players, guys who actually get picked in the draft, than guys who aren't 5 stars, like percentage-wise, you know? So I'd rather take a shot on the 5-star if I could get one. But there's always a circumstance that could lean and say, oh, well, the 4-star is a little bit better than this 5-star. Like Wan'Dale Robinson, for example. They were guys who got drafted lower than he did, and he was a 4-star receiver, and they were 5-star receivers, right? But if you do the average, the law of average will say the 5 stars are the ones you need at your school. But you guys are right. Antonio says, look at Texas A&M. I mean, look at Texas A&M. They got some coaching issues too. They got some major coaching culture issues. So it's more than just the stars. But if you have a great coach and you have great players like a 5-star, yeah, that's a big deal. It's a big plus. Thank you, Grant, for being a member, and thank you for the $2 super chat. Is Justin Jefferson the best 2-star recruit ever? You know, I don't know the answer to that because I don't know who the other 2-star recruits are. I think one was Adam Thielen a 2-star recruit. Let me see here. Adam Thielen is a receiver on the same team as he is. And Adam Thielen was not ranked. Okay, so I'm not sure if he's the best 2-star recruit ever, but he is one of the best 2-star recruits ever, that's for sure. That guy's awesome. Ryan says Andy Janovich was a 2-star, possibly. Was he a walk-on? I'm not sure. Who knows? There you go. Pluto says J.J. Watt was a 2-star. That's probably the greatest 2-star ever. Who knows? I don't know the answers. I don't know. Let's talk about the Illinois game. So this weekend, Nebraska's playing the number 1 rated defense in the country. Illinois has the number, so this is the highest graded Power 5 corners, okay? Number 1, you've got Devon Witherspoon. Number 2, you have the Rutgers corner, who I think Trey Palmer beat on the left sideline for a touchdown. He ran that little in, almost like a go route that turned into a little bit more of a post. Anyway, number 2 is Christian Braswell. And number 8 is Jartavius Martin. So you've got 2 of the Illinois corners, or the only 2 Illinois corners, as top 10 ranking corners by Power 5, or by PFF in the Power 5 nationally. So pretty good cornerback play. We've seen Trey do some work on this guy, I think. So I believe he can still put these guys in positions where they might lose. But this defense isn't going to be a joke. So just something to think about. The top, or the highest graded run defenders. So you've got Jerzon Newton at number 10. Cam Jones at Indiana. Did he play against Nebraska? I can't remember if he played or not. Either way, Nebraska's already faced one of the guys in the top 10. They're now going to face another guy in the top 10. There's a lot of proven talent on Illinois' team. I'm just not sure that Nebraska has the offensive firepower if Illinois got going crazy and put up 40 points to put up 40 points on this team. So I'm really hoping that Nebraska's defense can keep them in the 20s, and then I think they've got a really good shot. Nebraska getting to 21 points feels really good. I think they're going to get to 21 no problem. I think when we start talking about 28 plus, that's where we run a risk because this defense is going to be able to do some damage. They're going to be able to get to the quarterback, I think, and they're definitely going to be able to stop the run. So some things to think about. We'll have to see. Long game, and over the course of the game, the pass rush will get worse, and we've seen that in the last 3 weeks. The pass rush always slows down in the second half because guys get worn out and tired. So just something to think about. Jackson, thank you for the $10 super chat. Who do you expect to get fired on the defensive staff for Nebraska? I feel like there's a few. Well, no one will get fired. I think they just wouldn't get retained by the new head coach, right? Maybe they'd get fired. I don't know how you phrase it. I think Nebraska likely loses everybody on the defensive side of the ball except for Bill Busch. I think if you get a defensive-minded head coach, he's going to bring in his own DC. He's going to run the defense his way, and he's going to want his own guys. So that's if there's a defensive-minded head coach. If you get an offensive-minded head coach, maybe. I don't know. It feels like everybody gets fired on that side of the ball. It doesn't feel like you return anybody there. Just my honest opinion. But I could be wrong. Just a guess. JJ, thank you for the $5 super chat. With NIL, what it is in today's college world, does leaving early for the NFL carry that much clout anymore? Palmer staying to build his NFL stock. No, the NIL money is good, but I think it's better at certain schools and for certain types of players who have really big social media followings. I don't think a guy like Trey Palmer is going to break the bank at Nebraska. I think he's still in a better position to leave for the NFL. He's going to get those brand deals in the NFL anyway. Plus, he's going to get the NFL paycheck. Plus, he's not going to have to go to school. So, yeah, I think that no. I think guys are more likely going to go to the NFL if they have the chance to, if they're good enough, like a Trey Palmer would be. Grant, Connor, I was going to tell you my best friend's sister hangs out with Garrett Nelson. I could help you get him on here. Dude, if you get Garrett Nelson on here, I think everybody in the chat would love you. You should definitely try because the chat would go crazy for an interview with Garrett Nelson. I promise you. They would go crazy. Press Alpha says, yes, Palmer stays. NFL rookie pay is only $700,000. So that's not true. There are a lot of rookies who make more than $700,000. Their pay is $700,000, but that's not the full pay, right? They get signing bonuses, and those signing bonuses pay a lot more. I know a guy, Drake London, who got a $12 million. I think it was $12 million. No, I don't know whatever his number was, but he got a massive signing bonus. So if you get a massive signing bonus, plus you get the $700,000 a year or $800,000 or whatever it adds up to, it's pretty lucrative. On top of that, I was talking to my friend. Okay, here's another example. I was talking to my friend about his friend, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons plays in the NBA. So Ben Simmons, when he got into the league, got like a $50 million a year contract pretty quickly. But his first year, he made more money from his brand deals. He made $50 million in brand partnerships in year one. Year one. So Trey Palmer could stay at Nebraska and get, let's say, $300,000 in brand deals or $400,000 in brand deals. Let's say. I think that's high, but let's say he does. Or he could go to the NFL and get $200,000 in brand deals, $150,000 in brand deals, plus the signing bonus, plus the pay, plus on top of that doesn't have to go to school. These guys are going to the NFL. It's the way it goes. Just the way it goes. I hang out with a lot of pro athletes, and I can tell you from conversations with them, even with NIL, they're going pro. I can tell you, seeing their bank accounts personally, they're going to the NFL or the NBA. I can tell you that. The NIL is not going to hold these guys back. The NIL is just a way to keep guys from leaving and playing overseas or opting out, right? Because you want to play so you can build your brand so you can get more money. So, anyway. Cade, thank you for the $1 super chat. I can't see your message because it says message restricted. Not sure why. So if you want to retype it, I'll respond to it. Steven says NIL money, which is pocket change compared to the NFL. Green and Palmer. Who's Green? Green and Palmer gone. Am I missing something? Who's Green? I don't know who Green is. Wow, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm just having a blank in my head. I don't know. And it's a 4-year contract. Yeah. When you go pro, you get a long-term deal. If you're at Nebraska, you have 1 year. Well, what if you tear your ACL or you have a major injury? Something happens that's so bad you can never play again. Well, at least when you get to the pros, you get a guarantee to some degree, and you get a contract that's going to say, okay, we're going to give you these no matter what happens. Even if you have a bad year, you're at least making what this contract says, right? At Nebraska, you end up staying. You have a good year, then a terrible year, and everyone says, I don't want you anymore. Spencer Rattler is a great example. Spencer Rattler went from #1 pick to barely draftable. Now he's working his way back up, but that's an example of a guy who would have wanted to take the guarantee and not risk just getting NIL for a year, right? So, oh, he meant Grant. I didn't even think about Grant. I'm dumb. So Grant going to the NFL would be strange to me because I don't know how high he'd get drafted, but it would also be strange for him to come back because the offensive line, there's a lot of uncertainty. You know what? I think he's in like his 5th year in college. I think he came out of 2017 or 2018 class. If he came out of the 2017 class or 2018 class, he's probably gone because he's older. But I don't know for sure what class it was. Gannon says, can Nebraska get the run game going with Anthony Grant against Illinois? I'm trying to look for a yes. Okay. If Nebraska comes out firing and Casey Thompson's completing a lot of passes and they're worried and they're trying to figure out how to stop that deep threat and they're worried about passes coming over the middle, yes, Nebraska's going to be able to establish the run because the linebackers will be playing on their heels a little bit. They'll be looking around. They won't be firing into the gap as quickly. And in that case, we might be able to see some 3-4 yard pickups. And if we do get to that point, say Grant's averaging 4 yards a carry, that could be beneficial. The other note is Rahmir Johnson should play. So Rahmir Johnson apparently was pretty injured and banged up over the first, let's call it 5 games of the year. He's now a lot healthier. He did play in that Purdue game 2 weeks ago, and it sounds like he's good to go for this week. Gabe Irvin's not playing. He's got turf toe. So you've got Yant, Grant, Rahmir Johnson. And if Rahmir Johnson's out there, I have a lot of faith that he's going to be able to make some good plays because that guy's really quick. Because he's so quick, if he finds a hole, busts it open for 10 yards, then we've got a run game established. Now, is it likely? Probably not. Is it possible? Yes. 1,000% Nebraska can get the run game going against Illinois. It's just going to take a lot. Cade, thank you for the $1 super chat. You said you've been a Nebraska fan your entire life, 21 years. You have no memories of us ever rushing the field after a win. Oh, after we win tomorrow, do we rush the field? Absolutely not. That would be a disgrace. It would be embarrassing. If I was sitting on my couch tomorrow and Nebraska beats Illinois, beats them by 1 point on a final field goal, beats them by 64 points, any circumstance, they beat Illinois. If the fans start to rush the field, I would break my TV. I would be disappointed. I would be embarrassed. I would say, I would cuss at my TV. I would go on a Twitter rant. I would make a YouTube video ranting about it. Are you kidding? Hell no. We're down bad. But a win over Illinois, if we rush the field, we'd be down worse. Hell no. That'd be embarrassing. Or what? Illinois? Illinois is, sure, their number, whatever they are, 17? It doesn't even matter. They're not going to finish the year number 17. Maybe they'll finish the year top 25 if they get on a run or whatever. But this isn't a Alabama coming to Nebraska. And even if it was, we're a blue blood. We're used to winning these games. This is what's supposed to happen. Tomorrow, Nebraska's a 7.5 point favorite. But Nebraska's supposed to win this game. This is Nebraska. Look at the recruiting. Look at the money. Look at the facilities. Look at the stadium. Look at the fan support. Nebraska is supposed to win this game. Illinois, I promise you, is going to be ecstatic if they win tomorrow. Tomorrow. They're going to be ecstatic. Fans will be too, because even though we're down bad, this is still Nebraska. We do not rush the field for any game. We didn't rush the field when we were down bad with Mike Riley in 2015. I was at that game when they upset Michigan State, who is number 6 in the country. And that was a bigger win than this would be. And no, we will not be rushing the field tomorrow. And if we did, I'd be upset. I don't know. Chat, you let me know what you think. The Badger is back. 14.8K followers. Well done and well deserved, bud. I'm off jury duty and soaking that in. Never want to do it again. Murder is not a light charge. You had to go in for murder? Who's murdering people in South Dakota? I thought it was chill over there. Anyway, ready to focus on football again. 38-35 Nebraska. The Badger has spoken. First off, I didn't know we hit 14.8K followers, or subscribers, so we're making moves. Guys, we need to hit 15,000. So if you know anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, let them know it's time to subscribe because we're making moves over here. Thank you, Crypto Badger, for the $20 super chat. I can't believe you're thinking 38-35. I'm actually getting like some little heart palpitations now. I'm like, whew, 38 points? That means Trey Palmer goes for 250. Let's go. Listen, I'm hyped on that. Hey, Badger, how do you feel about rushing the field? If Nebraska wins, should they rush the field? I got to know. No one in here wants to see the team rush the field from what I'm reading so far. I don't see anybody saying we should rush the field. Rushing the field is for beating OU. That's pretty funny. Okay. Do you think Trey can get open even if Nebraska doubles up on him? Well, first things first, if Illinois doubled up on him, it would be a blessing. Trey has 2 guys on him. You don't double team a receiver, no matter how good he is, when you run man coverage. It doesn't make sense. And Illinois runs man coverage. So it's just an unlikely scenario. It's not going to happen. But let's say it does. Let's say they run zone and they run a two-man coverage scheme on just Trey. And now you've got Marcus Washington, Oliver Martin, Travis Vokalek, and whoever's coming out of the backfield. I love that matchup. I love it because Marcus Washington underneath is fast enough to get some extra yards. Same with Alante Brown. Travis Vokalek could get open over the middle. I mean, it would cause all sorts of problems for themselves if they ran double coverage on Trey. It's not going to happen. But if they did, yes, I'd welcome it. I'd be excited for it. It would be a huge bonus for this offense because there would be so many more opportunities on other sides of the field if they were that concerned about Trey Palmer. But honestly, I don't think they're that concerned. Purdue had a questionable secondary. We knew that going into that game. Those guys couldn't cover him to save their life. That defense was not very good. That defense was actually not good at all. It was the Nebraska offense that really held themselves back from scoring more in that game. 2 turnovers didn't help either. And Illinois has 2 legit corners. They have no fear about Trey Palmer. I mean, they're going to be aware of him, but they're not coming into this game like, oh my God, this is one of the top receivers in the country and we got to worry. No, these are 2 of the best corners in the country too. 2 top 10 corners in the country. They're not concerned. They're going to be running their normal scheme. Brian, apparently you got here late, so let's talk about it again. So is Dylan Raiola reconsidering? Absolutely not. Here's the harsh truth, the reality to the situation. Dylan Raiola is Ohio State's quarterback. Dylan Raiola is coming on a visit with his brother, his younger brother, to check out Nebraska because the kid's a freshman, and that's fantastic for him that he got an offer. But Dylan Raiola is not on the visit. Dylan Raiola is a guest of the visitor. Dylan Raiola is there for moral support. He's there to see his uncle, who's the offensive line coach. He's just there to be around. But do not get it twisted. That's Ohio State's quarterback. He will be beating Nebraska on this field 4 years from now or 3 years from now, or trying to beat them at least. Dion says, reality here. Illinois 35-9. Okay, I don't know what reality you live in, but it's more likely, probability-wise, it's more likely that Nebraska wins this game outright than Illinois beating them by 24, probability-wise. So I like your idea, but it's not realistic at all. Husker Nation, thank you for the $10 super chat, and thank you for being a member. We appreciate everybody who's supporting our channel, especially you, because you're always here. Great channel, Connor. It's me, but it seems like our O-line doesn't make adjustments like our defense. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if there are many adjustments that can be made. I'm not sure Yeah, I don't know enough about the offensive line. I played offensive line when I was in like 3rd grade for 1 year, and outside of that, not much experience there. So they just don't do well. That's it. They just don't do very well. They do make second half adjustments because they don't get as worn down as the defensive line does, because the defensive line always plays worse in the second half than in the first half. So that's been a plus. The opposing team's defensive line, sorry, who's going against them. If you look at the sack count from Purdue, 4 sacks in the first half, I think 0 sacks in the second half. Same thing with Rutgers. Nebraska's offensive line was getting destroyed in the first half. Second half, they were better. So maybe they do make adjustments and we don't even realize it. And I'm just crediting the defense being tired for the lack of success. But it could very well be the offensive line's getting better. So who knows? But you are right. You are right. Dashcammer, thank you for the $5 super chat. We appreciate you here. You're always in the chat. I always notice. Let's see here. Chad says, where's Omar Manning? He is hurt. And Mickey Joseph said he's not back yet. So he will be he will be absent. He's not playing right now. Here's another thing, guys. Michelle, I don't know what's wrong with my screen. I don't know. Put it in the chat if my screen's fuzzy. I want to know really quick, guys. I'm checking something. Hang on. My internet's running at the highest it can possibly run for download. And my upload is pretty high. Yeah, guys, I don't know. Some people say it's fuzzy. Some people say it's not. If you go to your bottom right corner on settings, you can hit the quality, and you can try and make the quality a little higher. I'm not sure. Chris wants to know what my day-to-day looks like. I am going to tell you guys because I get this question a lot. My day-to-day is this right now. I am full-time corn crazed. So every single day, I'm researching Nebraska football. I'm watching other teams. I'm watching other press conferences. I'm learning about what's going on around the country. I'm watching other content. I'm learning how other content creators put out videos. I'm learning what trends on YouTube. I mean, I'm figuring out this whole social media game. So that's my day-to-day right now. In addition to that, I have a few clients I help, like 2 or 3 right now. That's it. And I help them build out their brands. So I have to travel sometimes, but I basically in the football season, I say no. In the off season, I travel a bunch. And during the off season, as you know, I don't post nearly as much because there's way less to talk about. So that's my day to day. Gannon says, are you going to buy EA Sports College Football and do a video review or something? Okay, guys, not only am I going to buy this game, I'm going to play this game religiously, and I might have a different channel where I stream and play the game and then have interviews with college football players on it. Like, say you guys wanted to hear from Marquise Buford Jr. in an interview, I'd literally sit here and play with him, and then he'd have his video in one corner, my video would be in the other corner, and then we'd be playing NCAA football while we have an interview. So, yeah, I will be absolutely playing that game all the time. Travis says, am I rich? Travis, if I was rich, I wouldn't be making videos in my bedroom. I could say that. I would have a studio. And I wouldn't be sharing an apartment with my roommate. I'm not rich yet. I will be rich. I can promise you this. I'm going to be rich because I work super freaking hard, and no matter what happens with this channel, I'm going to hit this like YouTube thing super hard with something else, and I'm going to hit 1 million subscribers. I promise you. I'm figuring YouTube out, and I love it. It's fun. So, yeah, I'm going to be rich. I'm not rich yet, though. But I am alive, so we're all good. Brian, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for being a member of the channel. All the attention Palmer's going to receive, I'm thinking it's Marcus Washington's time to go off. Huskers 31-17. 31-17 feels like a stretch. I don't hate it. I love it. Marcus Washington, under the radar, he needs to be a little bit more consistent. He's had some drops, and they've been painful. Painful for him, painful for us to watch. If he can have one clean game, or even Oliver Martin, this is the one. There are going to be some opportunities for sure if Oliver Martin or Marcus Washington can catch it. Because when they do get in positions, they're like, I'm trying to think. Give me a second, guys. Rutgers. I mean, I'm literally picturing games in my head right now where Marcus Washington and Oliver Martin were in positions to make huge plays. They either dropped the ball, it was a little bit thrown off to the left or right, and it would have gone for 20 yards and then another 20 after because they had extra room to run. Yeah, make more catches, be a little bit more consistent, and these guys are going to be freaking awesome. I can tell you that. They're going to be freaking awesome. Back to chat. Okay, Gannon, I'm just answering every question you got tonight. You have some good questions. Have I ever had a Runza or Valentino's pizza slice? Okay, I'm sure I've had Valentino's. I don't know if I have, but I'm guessing I have. And Runza, I've eaten a million times. Yes, 1,000,000%. I've been to Nebraska 300 times, and I've been to Runza probably every time I've gone to Nebraska. I just ate a Runza at the Oklahoma game a month-ish ago. Caleb's coming in from Norfolk, Virginia. Love the content. Thanks for all that you do to keep Husker Nation together. I think that's the key to Corn Crazed, right? What Corn Crazed is just a community for us to hang out. That's how I view it. I'm not an announcer. I'm not an analyst. I'm not, I don't even know what else there is. I'm not an insider or a reporter. I'm none of those things. I'm just your homie who wants to talk about Nebraska football with you, literally. And I do a little bit more research than other people because I'm obsessed with it. And after I do all that research, I package it all together in a really pretty clean way that's easy for a lot of people to understand and digest. And then I create a platform for all of us to talk about it. That's what I am. And it's ended up being really fun and really cool. So, yeah. Jeremy said we need an NCAA Corn Craze competition. Yeah, we're going to for sure have like a buy-in, like a $20 buy-in tournament, like March Madness, round of 64. Got to figure out what platforms we'll do it on, but yeah, that's going to be freaking awesome. If I had to coach a position group, what position group would I coach? Well, I played safety, running back, corner, linebacker in high school. So I'd probably coach running backs. I think running backs because I know the most about that position. Husker Nation, thank you for the $5 super chat. You're coming back at it again. What would it take to get cigars and whiskey with you? I mean, you'd have to be around me. So I'm in California. If someone was in California and said, yo, I want to get cigars and whiskey. They were in Hollywood. I live in Hollywood, right? So if they said, yo, there's a cigar spot 10 minutes away from your apartment. Do you have an hour? I would 100%, as long as it was close and I wasn't doing anything on those days and it was like convenient, I'd 100% go and meet up with somebody from our chat to do it. But for somebody who's in Nebraska or somebody who lives further away from me, it's a little bit tougher because logistically, when I do go to Nebraska, I'm busy with other stuff. Be a little bit tougher. But maybe we do something. I don't know. We're going to figure out something for the meetup for the Wisconsin game. And maybe the night before the Wisconsin game, I go to that cigar lounge in downtown Lincoln to meet up with some people if that was something you were interested in. I don't know. I'm willing to do whatever you guys want to do, honestly. I will. I'm trying to meet as many of you as possible, get pictures with you. I had such a good time at the meetups that I did when I went for the OU game. I think it's going to be just as fun when I go for the Wisconsin game. So, yes, sir, that's the next time I will be in Lincoln is for Wisconsin. I'll be staying in Omaha for 2 nights, then Lincoln that next day, and then going back to California after that. Wyatt, I noticed you. Hello, hello. I didn't see any other comments from you. This is the first one I saw. It's hard. I can't get to every comment. I'm trying my best. Travis, thank you for the appreciation. I know you do. You talk about it all the time. That's hilarious. Wyatt's wife came in and said, pay attention to me on his own YouTube channel because he wasn't paying attention to her because he's too focused on Corn Crazed. I don't know what to tell you. Corn Crazed is fun. It's Friday night before a game. Stuart, yes, sir. We're going to for sure do a meet and greet before that Wisconsin game. I just don't know what the logistics are going to be yet, but we will 100%. Brian says, do you think Mickey or the other staff knew about Scott Frost's drinking problems? I don't even think there's confirmation that he had drinking problems. Like, I don't even know if that's a true rumor, and I'm not going to feed into it because I don't know the guy. Who knows if he did or didn't, and I don't think it's our business either way. If he did have drinking problems, they probably would have seen signs of it, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Dayton, I don't know what my favorite bar is in Lincoln because I haven't been to a bar in Lincoln in like 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, something like that. So I don't even know. Jake's, that's the cigar lounge I went to. It was great. Vincent, thank you for being a member. I always notice you here. He says, thanks for your hard work, Connor. Freshman tight end Luke Lindenmeyer, number 99, is loving his Corn Crazed merch. Saluting the military for tomorrow's military appreciation game. That's awesome. I didn't even know tomorrow was a military appreciation game. And Vincent, you should tell your son to hit me up. If he actually watches the content or wants to learn anything about building his brand. I know you DM'd me before, but I could give him some advice. Whatever you need me to do, I got you. Guys, just so you know, his son is a walk-on tight end at Nebraska. So, yeah, Vincent's been a support of our channel. Zach, I noticed you made it. Thank you for being here. I hope you noticed I made you a mod, too, because you've been so loyal and you've always been in the chat with us. And, yeah, when I do the meet and greets, I don't even think we'll do it for the members. I think we'll do it for whoever wants to come because I'm not sure there's going to be that many people who are available. But yeah, I'm for sure going to do something. I promise you. It's going to be legit. I really want to meet as many of you as possible. I think it'd be fun. Who do you think the best running back is since Amir Abdullah or Divine Ozigbo? The best one since them? Well, is probably Anthony Grant. He hasn't had the best numbers because he's been in a really, tough position. Ramir was good last year. It's probably Anthony Grant, even though he's been in the position he's been in. Cade says, do I ride with Will Compton and bet Nebraska on the money line? Yeah, I'd sprinkle it. I would definitely sprinkle it. I personally think Nebraska's winning this game. And I would not say that just as a homer trying to give you guys false hope. I told you, Nebraska's going to lose to Purdue by 6. They lost by 5 or 4, whatever it was. And I gave you really good reasons as to why that was going to happen. Now I've told you, Nebraska's going to beat Illinois outright. I am confident that's going to happen. Not overly confident to the point where I'm going to put all my money on the money line. I'm definitely putting most of my money on the plus 7.5. But I have a really good feeling that Nebraska can come out and win this game. You're catching Illinois at a great time. They don't have the rhythm because they had a bye week. Nebraska had a chance to get healthy. They had a chance to install some new things and to figure out or work out some of their issues. The Nebraska fans are craving a win. The players are too. And we figured out some things about this offense that we didn't know 3 weeks ago. Right? Trey Palmer is explosive and you can get him the ball in a lot of different ways. Ramir Johnson's back and there's ways to implement him into this scheme. Put $5 on the money line. That's all I'm saying. Put $5. That's it. $5 isn't going to hurt you. Chat, who are the commentators for the game tomorrow? I know it's on ABC, but I have no idea who the commentators are. And Gannon says, could you get Josh Pate, Lee Corso, or Will Compton on the show? Well, Lee Corso is done. That guy is about to retire. He can barely function on his own show. I wouldn't even want him on our show just because I would feel bad making him do something. That's not going to happen. Will Compton is for sure could get him in the future, I think. I've reached out to him, but he's big. I need a contact. I need to get to his producer or someone who knows him personally. That's a tougher one to get. He's busy. So Will Compton would be a great one. I'm sure we could get him if I had the right introduction to him. Josh Pate, I believe I could get Josh Pate. He's really busy during the season. I would love to have him. I need a contact for him as well. But I do believe I could get Josh Pate on the show because we're the #1 Nebraska YouTube channel. He has one of the biggest college football YouTube channels. So I think Josh Pate's realistic if I had the contact for him. So big interviews are coming. I just need to do a little bit more networking. David says, what do you think? How long till we're giant killers with Mickey Joseph at head coach? Maybe 8 years after this next head coach is out and Mickey Joseph gets a chance. Maybe then. Not right now. Nicky Joseph's probably not going to be the next head coach, is my guess. Or is my guess. There you go. Jake has the winning strategy. Michael says, Matt be great to the Corn Crazed show. So, guys, I've talked about this guy before because you guys sent me his videos. This guy is the clickbait machine of college football. He puts up pictures on videos and then does voiceovers. And he says things that aren't true and just does things to ignite the audience and try to get more money, because the more views you get, the more attention you draw, the more money you make, right? I would never do a collab with this guy just because it's annoying. Never say never, because maybe he could change his ways, or maybe he could convince me that he was, misrepresented. But no, I don't want to do content with him. Announcers are Sean McDonough and Todd Blackledge. Thank you, Kyler. Everyone says Matt be great is horrible. Okay, yeah, we're not doing that. Okay, guys, we're going to make some picks because this is college football weekend. So let me pull this up. So this weekend, we got some big games. First off, let's talk about a couple bets I took tonight. And some people DM me about my picks for tonight. I gave you 2 picks. I took East Carolina +3. I also took Florida International +6.5. So if you reached out to me and got those picks, fantastic. I'm glad you did. If not, maybe you ride with a couple I have for tomorrow. So yeah, here's what I've got going right now. That's in action. Let's go to the games. Okay. So tomorrow, what I like. First off, before I even tell you this, you guys already know, but let me tell you how to sign up for BroThrow if you want to be on it. This is our sponsor for the show. It's called brothrow.com/GBR. You got to add that /GBR to get accepted into our group. Here's our group right here. We've already got 2 people who joined while we've been on the stream. So we've got Dalton I accepted. We've got Darren who I accepted. To get in, you've got to be 18 or older. You got to live in the U.S., and then you can join the Corn Crazed group. There's 417 members right now. We make picks together, and you can bet on games anywhere from $1 to any amount you want. I bet $65 a unit. Right now, I've got $1,300 bet for the week. Okay, anyway. When you go into this platform, you click the team you want, the bet you want, you go and put the money you want, bam, and you pick your deal. That's how it works. It's very simple. I don't need to explain it much more than that because I've explained it a dozen times on my live streams before. And if you have any other questions, you can reach out to me in the Discord and I can guide you through it. Picks. Ohio State, Penn State. I got Penn State at +16. I really like Penn State at home to cover 16 because as good as Ohio State is, Penn State has a pretty good defense and a good enough defense to keep that close. I don't have much faith in Sean Clifford. I don't have much faith in that Penn State offense, so I don't think they're going to win, but +16 feels fantastic. I didn't touch anything on Akron, Miami, but I do see Brian likes that game. I'm not touching games I don't know anything about. TCU, West Virginia. TCU's been hot, but here's the thing about TCU. They have had some wins, but I like to call those illegitimate wins because they didn't win with the other team at full strength. They didn't win with the other team's quarterback in. Kansas lost their QB. OU lost their QB. Who they play last week? Kansas State lost their QB, and the team before they played Kansas lost their QB as well. So TCU has all these great wins against backup quarterbacks. West Virginia's been down bad, but I think they can bounce back. Lose this game by 7, we still cover. Taking West Virginia 7.5. Another game I like is Notre Dame. Notre Dame's coming off a terrible loss. I think it was at home to Stanford, who's another terrible team. They're getting 1.5 points here, which makes no sense. Syracuse is coming off a pretty close loss to Clemson. All signs point to Syracuse being the better team. This should be like a 4-point line. Notre Dame at +1.5. I have to take them. It's baiting me. Oklahoma, I'm taking. I'm back on the Oklahoma train because here's the deal. Oklahoma was really shit for 3 weeks, but they weren't that bad the last time we saw them play against Kansas, and their offense looked a lot stronger. So Iowa State with that Scott Frost style record of 1-score losses, because I think it's like 6 1-score losses or 6 losses in 1-score games. That's the way they put it on Twitter. Something like that in this last year. We have to take Oklahoma in what should be a 1-score game. Arkansas -3, which I think I have a bet placed out here for -3.5, so I'm going to cancel that one. And I'm going to go replace Arkansas right now at -3. Bang, bang. It's that simple. Enter my pin, and we're in. We're on Arkansas -3. I like Arkansas. They had a downswing. They bounced back strong against BYU. Auburn's tough, but I like Arkansas. I took Virginia at +2.5, but +3 is even better if I could take that. I just think Miami's terrible. They have a lot of issues. Their offensive coordinator is not very good. And Virginia is not very good either, but I can't bet anything on Miami, and I'm actually going to fade them now pretty much every week. Nebraska +7.5, no brainer. I love that play. And then I'm taking Oklahoma State in this Kansas State showdown. I think Adrian's going to probably play, but with the risk he might not. Oklahoma State's been more consistent. They have a stronger offense, and Oklahoma State's, they haven't done me wrong. So because I haven't lost on them, I'm just going to keep playing them. I took Tulsa, and because I think SMU's kind of overrated. They've got a brand new coach. Tulsa's got a little bit more stability. And I took Cal +17.5. That line moved to 17, but I think Oregon's coming off a high. They just played UCLA, had a great game against UCLA, and they're due to have a little bit more of a letdown against a team who's got a decent defense. So taking Cal with all those points. I took Kentucky +12 against my friend Jake. He actually challenged me on this one. So Kentucky +12 because Tennessee can't win every game by a blowout, especially when they're playing a first rounder at quarterback. So I like that. UAB, I'm on -5.5. I like it even better at 4.5. They should have covered last week, but somebody got injured. I think it was the quarterback. And then I'm taking Baylor over Texas Tech, North Carolina -3, and I'm taking Fresno State -9. So those are my picks for the week. I've got a lot of them playing a different strategy. About 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I went 10-1 or 11-1. I won like $850 in one weekend. It was massive. So hopefully I can recreate this weekend. We'll see. I'm not sure. But if you want to sign up, if you want to get on BroThrow, it's brothrow.com/GBR. You don't pay a VIG, so it's better than whatever sportsbook you're using because of that. Every time I bet, I get even money. So you bet 50, you win 50. Whereas on an older sportsbook I used, it was bet 55 to win 50. If you use any of these sportsbooks, you understand that concept. It's way better to use this. Dayton, you said, is there a buyer and a seller? No. So what it is, it'd be like you say, I want Nebraska, and I say, I want Illinois. So I say, okay, here's my +7.5 Nebraska. You take it, and now I get Illinois. The winner pays the other one. So if I win on Illinois +7.5, you send me a Venmo or a PayPal for my winnings. That's that simple. It's awesome. Justin says, Connor, saw Sean Callahan out for lunch at Valentino's. Wish I went up and mentioned you, but dude being out for lunch, I didn't want to bother him. Hope I didn't miss an opportunity for you. Yeah, you didn't miss an opportunity for you. I can tell you, Sean Callahan knows who I am. Any of the Nebraska media knows who I am. If you go and watch any of their YouTube videos, they've taken elements of what I do and put it into their videos as well. So they all know. But I'm not sure I'd ever do content with Sean Callahan. I'm not sure he would want to do content with me. I look at him as kind of an Adam Carricker. They're kind of the old school established guys. I'm the new guy. Why do they need to do anything with me? They're already built up. So I would probably do something with Sean Callahan. That'd be cool just because he's the OG, but I don't think that would ever happen, is my guess. Chance, I missed your super chat. It's okay. I'm going to go back and read your super chat when I get done with this stream. Or maybe I can just scroll up. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I got you. Thank you for the $10, Chance. I'll be at the game tomorrow dressed as a super fan and then going to Omaha to do stand-up comedy dressed as Scott Frost for the venue's Halloween party. Thoughts? I think you should just dress up as Scott Frost at the game and then go straight there as Scott Frost. People would love it either way. Fantastic idea, though. I wonder what you'll wear. You should definitely send me a picture on Instagram or Twitter or Discord because I really want to see that. Scott Frost costume. That's genius. I forgot it's Halloween. There's even more reason for me to believe that Nebraska can win this game. It's Halloween. It's spooky season. Anything can happen. Brett says he picked his first bet on BroThrow for tomorrow. I hope you took Nebraska. Let me know who you think. Let me know who you think for the Nebraska game. +7.5 if you're taking them or not. Dayton says, will Northwestern beat Iowa? I have no idea. That's a tough one. I think Northwestern's down bad, but they very well could. At plus 11, I mean, it's terrible. Dayton, the reason Bro Throw is legal is because Bro Throw is not a sports book. So it's between you and I. They're a sports betting platform. You can go on there and make picks against other people, but you can't make picks against them. So think of it as the Uber for sports betting. They locate you and I. They say, you want to put $1 on this team. I want to put $1 on this team. Put us together, and then we're responsible for paying each other out. A lot of people have asked me, well, how do you know you're going to get paid? So there's a verification system. You have to go through the verification system. Then you have to make X amount of bets before you can bet more. So you got to start out by betting, less than $100. And then once you do enough bets at $100, you can go up to $300 and then $500, etc. So that's how they do it. They've had $50+ million in bets made, and less than $15,000 have gone unpaid. Less than $15,000 out of $50 million. So yeah, I'm not worried about not getting paid. I've made a lot of bets. I've never had someone not pay, and I've never not paid. So pretty simple. You get booted off the site if you don't pay. So there's incentive to pay your bets. And people on there, they're legit gamblers. They're people who really want to bet on these sports. So they're going to spend the money either way. They're not just guys who are coming in for one pick for $100 and then running away not paying their bet. Zach says Auburn +3 at home. I like that, but I'm not taking it. Iowa State +1 at home. I like that too, but I'm not taking it. I hope you are, though, because I think you very well could beat me. JH says, do you think Penn State can beat Ohio State? I think it's a long shot, to be honest. I think Ohio State just has so much going in the right direction. They have so much momentum. They're a really good, complete football team, and Penn State's not. They have really good DBs. They have a good running back. They have a couple good receivers. They have overall a good defense, but their offense is just bleh. They can't compete with Ohio State. They're going to, oh, here's a good comment. They'll get stomped out. That's my opinion, too. Ryan says Big Noon kickoff or College Game Day. This is tricky for me because I grew up on College Game Day, but lately I'm enjoying Big Noon kickoff because I like what Reggie Bush and Urban have to say. I would have to still lean College Game Day. I think it's a better show overall. Yeah, College Game Day. But Big Noon is, it's fun. I like Big Noon. Sorry, I was reading the chat and getting confused. High Mountain Guy says West Virginia, though, yuck. Expect TCU to roll again. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think TCU's run has to come to an end eventually. That's how I look at it. They're not that great. TCU's good, but they're not. I'm betting on them to eventually come to an end. Dion says inflation must not hurt people that bad to bet money on sports. Well, some people save their money. Some people have extra cash flow, right? You got an extra $1. Inflation's not affecting $1 for a lot of people who have jobs, right? Inflation hasn't hurt me yet bad. It's hurt. I can feel it, but not terrible. So maybe next year inflation will hurt our betting a little bit more. We'll see. Brett says, Connor, how does money come out if you lose a bet? Does it come out automatically, or how does that work? You send it. So when I lose a bet, a prompt pops up and says, you lost to Brett. So you owe Brett $65. So I go to my account. I click on your Venmo, your PayPal, or your Cash App. I send you the money, and then I click a little marker that says paid. And then once it's paid, I move on. If I don't pay and you want to come after me, you hit file dispute. And then Bro Throw hits me up and is like, yo, what are you doing? And then they would ban me. But that doesn't happen. Most people pay. Rob Johnson says, what about Adam Carricker? Adam Carricker hasn't wanted to do content. That's not an option. He doesn't want to work with me, I don't think. He hasn't responded to my requests, and he has seen them for sure. So, yeah, I just don't think Adam Carricker is a fit. He doesn't want to do this show, which is all good. It's no problem. Gannon says, do you think Clemson should make the college football playoff? Do I think they should? I think they should if they win out, but it's tough, It's tough because Clemson hasn't played that many great teams. Yeah, Clemson's just kind of bleh. I personally would rather not see them in the playoffs, so I hope they do lose maybe to North Carolina. I don't know who they're going to play in the ACC championship, but I don't want to see them in, no. But yeah, they should if they win out. That's how this game works, right? Am I interested in making a video about the 2023 schedule for Nebraska and the other Big Ten teams? I am interested in making that video, but I will not be making that video until the off season because, yeah, there's no reason for me to do it yet. So yeah, I'll be doing that in the off season. And Brett, yes, the payment is on an honor system, but there's tiers of verification. So you don't just get automatic, or you don't have people who get in there who can automatically bet $100 against you and then run off. It just doesn't happen. So it's on the honor system, but yeah, it's people who are honorable in there, which is great. That's why it's a fun platform, and that's why it's invite only right now. You can't join Brothrow unless you come in through somebody like me or someone else who you know at Brothrow. So I'm vouching for you guys potentially, right? I'm saying, okay, because these are my subscribers and I know they are going to be legitimate, they can come onto the platform and bet with me. Josh, I don't know what you're talking about. Venmo never takes anything out unless you pay it. So Venmo doesn't take your money. Just a heads up. That's something you should look into because you don't link your Venmo to anything. But hit me up on the side if you need help with Venmo. I could help you out. Georgie, thank you for the $2 super chat. And Cade, you are freaking on it with Northwestern. You really think they're going to beat Iowa? I might have to ride with you. I might have to. Dayton says my advice is not to bet on Nebraska. So Nebraska covered their last game as an underdog. So I like Nebraska as an underdog. But yeah, don't take Nebraska if you don't believe in them. I will tell you that. Husker Nation, Brothrow doesn't make money yet. They're building their brand and they're building their audience. And then eventually they're probably going to have a membership thing or something like that. But right now they're just straight up building their audience and building their subscriber base and user base. And then once they have enough, they'll probably go and make money. But right now I think they have a venture capital backer probably. And they're just using that investment money to build this up as strong as they can. The owner's super cool. His name's Brady. I talk to him all the time. He loves what we're doing at Crazed. He loves that we've got so many people active in there. And he loves the content we put out. So it was the perfect partnership for me to bring Brothrow onto our show. And it worked out for me because now I can afford to do all these videos. I mean, this is a full-time job, guys. Legit. I spend 7 hours a video, something like that. It's ridiculous. So it's a lot of work. Matt says, does Nebraska win another natty in our lifetime? Odds are low, man. Odds are low. I don't know. I'm going to say no. Say maybe they get to a natty in our lifetime. Maybe. But odds are low that they win them. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? I'm reading chat, guys. Gannon says, what's your dream for Corn Craze in the future? Remember you wanted to make a Husker man cave that you would record in. Yeah, I don't know what my dream for Corn Craze is in the future. I'm just going with the flow, seeing what you guys like. My dream for myself in the future is probably to have an all college football show. But I don't know. My dream changes every day. It's kind of a daily dream. Right now, my dream is to make sure that this channel continues to grow. We continue to grow the audience, and we can make more fun and engaging content. So I don't know what the future or what lies in the future, but I'm just going forward. Who's my Heisman pick, and who do I think a dark horse is? I think a dark horse. Man, this is tough. Okay. There's like so many names I'm thinking of for dark horse right now. I'm going to give it to... No. Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State's a dark horse. I like him a lot. He's been a really tough quarterback. He's in his 3rd or 4th year at Oklahoma State. Dark horse for sure, but you asked for that. Heisman pick is probably CJ Stroud, and it sounds so boring just because it is, but we already knew at the beginning of the season this is who it's going to be. So CJ Stroud is probably the one. Dark horse Spencer Sanders, though. A lot would have to happen for him. It's unrealistic to think Spencer Sanders is going to win it. But he could. It's, possible. Dayton, if no one picks up your $100 bet, it doesn't get placed. But people always pick up your bet. I mean, I've never had a bet not get picked up. Unless you bet it at the last minute or you bet it against a bad line. Like if you were to say the line's -3, but you move it to -4, and then it's not a good bet, people might not take it. But in almost all circumstances, if you bet at least an hour or so before the game, it's always getting picked up. So that's good. Thoughts on CBS coming to the Big Ten and we get the best announcer, Brad Nessler. I'm trying to think of the CBS jingle for college football right now so I can hum it. I can't even think of it. I'm mad. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be weird if they keep that same SEC on CBS jingle, because I always remember watching the Tennessee LSU game or the Kentucky whatever game, and I'm always hearing that noise. So if that jingle comes to the Big Ten, it's going to be a little uncomfortable, I must be honest. CBS on, or Big Ten on CBS doesn't have the same ring as SEC on CBS. I don't know. It's, it is what it is. It is what it is. Caleb says, what are your favorite snacks while watching the game? If it's wings and beer, what is your sauce and drink of choice? So my drink of choice while I watch the game is water. I chug water religiously. The other thing I drink a lot while I watch the game is protein shake. And the protein shake I make is spinach, ice, almond milk, water, chocolate protein, strawberry, banana, flaxseed, and this little peanut butter powder. So I drink that, and I drink a lot of water. And then food I eat is like a buffalo chicken salad. Pretty much every game day I eat a buffalo chicken salad. I think I'm like 5-6 weeks in a row right now. Yeah, that's it. Dakota, you're a member for 2 months. Thank you for renewing. We love having you here. Who will be the number 1 quarterback taken in the 2023 draft? You would assume CJ Stroud, if he's eligible, I think, right? So you'd assume CJ Stroud, but Will Levis is a pro-style quarterback who could definitely emerge on the scene. I'm not sure how realistic that is, but I think it could happen. I think Will Levis is climbing the rankings. He climbed the rankings last year in a big way, and if he could beat Tennessee this weekend or somebody else good this year, he's going to definitely get people excited. Okay, I'm reading through chat. There's a lot of chat, guys. There's a lot of chat, people talking to me and talking to each other. I can only process so much. I'm not that smart and I'm not that quick. Big Ben, we talked about it earlier. No. Dylan Raiola is Ohio State's quarterback. He's coming to Nebraska with his little brother in a supporting role, not in a I'm on a recruiting visit role. He already knows the program at Nebraska, and he's not coming here. Unless something crazy happened with Ohio State and they if they lost their head coach to the NFL, or if Nebraska had some miraculous turnaround next year and won 10 or 11 games and had a consistent O-line, there's a lot that would have to happen. So who knows? Travis says, what's your next major investment with all the donations? I don't have a plan to buy anything right now. I just got a new mic. My only investment is going out to that Nebraska game for the Wisconsin one. The only one right now. As soon as I have something I need, I'll be buying it. Don't worry. And I have people who want to invest in anything I do. I can get capital if I need it. So if I had a show idea or something that I knew could make money, I could go and get whatever money I need right now, and I could build out whatever it is that we want to do. So for my business, money's not an issue. We'll always have money because I have a lot of people who believe in what I'm doing and who want to support and invest in this brand and my brand and whatever I tell them I'm going to do. So if you guys have ideas and they're good ideas that would make money that work with what we're doing here, let me know, because we're not limited by anything. I promise you that. In the next 20 years, Nebraska will win a national championship. What's good is we're going to manifest it, or we hope we manifest it. That's all I can say to that. Connor, you tell me that Nebraska won't win in your lifetime. That's like 65 years. Maybe my lifetime, but not yours. My lifetime is like what? Let's say I die at 75. That's like 40, 46 years. So in 46 years, Nebraska would win a title. I mean, it's possible. Nebraska winning a title in 46 years, it's possible. Maybe I was a little bit too pessimistic. There's a good chance Nebraska could win a national championship by the time I'm dead. I agree with that. Leo says, Connor, I love that your content is for all ages. Well, that's, I mean, yeah. I bet I'm the youngest at 11 years old. Leo, I think you are the youngest. You know, Leo, I had a caller call in the other day who told me he was 12. So I sent him some stickers. So if you want stickers and you want wristbands, send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter or Discord or email me. Find a way to get in contact with me, and I'm going to send you stickers because I think you might be my youngest fan, and you deserve stickers for being my #1 youngest fan. I think you do at least. Is my content for all ages, though? I don't really know. But then again, 11-year-olds in 2022 are actually like 18-year-olds back when I was growing up. So you know a lot of stuff. So maybe my content is for all ages. Maybe it is. 282 people watching and less than 30 likes. Is that true? There were only 30 likes on this video? Guys, help me out. Help me out. Help people find this channel. You got to hit the like button. Cade says, have you ever thought about moving to Lincoln so you can go to more games and maybe even basketball, baseball, and volleyball? Okay, so I'm just going to be honest. I have zero interest in basketball, baseball, or volleyball at Nebraska. Just none. I'm a very passionate college football fan. I enjoy other sports, but college football is my thing. I have considered flying out to Nebraska for every game during the season. I would do that before I would move to Nebraska. I couldn't live there. I need a little bit more stimulation, I think. And you got to keep in mind, man, I grew up in Newport Beach, like California, in around a lot of stuff in Orange County. Just a lot going on. And now I live in Hollywood. I can go out. My gym's open till midnight tonight, so I'm going to go to the gym after this. There's parties all the time. There's restaurants open at all hours. It's very engaging. And I think for the time and place in my life I'm at, I need to be in a place that allows me to do those things. So Nebraska isn't on my radar, I'm going to be honest. I have a few friends I've met out here who are from Nebraska, and they've told me there's no way I would fit in at Nebraska or fit in Nebraska just because I've got a lot going on. So I think it'd be more realistic that I come to every game. But I don't want to do that because I want to make this content. And it wouldn't make sense for me to go to games every day or every weekend and try to make the content. I got to pick and choose, right? Go to some games for fun, but most of the time be at home to deliver you guys what you want, which is this whole deal. So there's a lot that goes into this, you know? And I also don't know what my future holds. My future might hold all college football YouTube, right? Or something else. And so if my whole thing is college football, I've got to travel around to other games and not just Nebraska, right? So we'll see. Who knows? Wait. High Mountain Guy says the way he just described his diet, it's super obvious he belongs in LA. Listen, bro, I'm healthy. I want to look good. I want to be healthy. That's all. I still eat junk food. I eat Runzas when I go to Nebraska. I promise you. I'm not like I don't know. I'm not like an LA diet person. Like, I'm not an LA guy. Look at me. I'm wearing a flannel and I wear the trucker hat. I stand out here. I promise you. I don't look like a normal LA guy. I wear a camo. People look at me with judgmental eyes all the time. I'm one of you. I promise. It's just I live somewhere else. Let's see. Kyler says, I've watched you before. You had barely any subs. When are you going to take off the hat? I could take off the hat right now. I like the hat because the hat's part of the brand, but I could take off the hat at any time. I just like the look. It just gives me, it gives me a look. It's my look. It's my brand. That's the way I think of it. A lot of chat, guys. I'm getting through the chat. I'm getting through the chat. Do not move for 7 days a year. Yeah, it would be tough to live in Lincoln just for seven home football games a year. That wouldn't make much sense. You know what's interesting? My cousin's whole dream was to live in Nebraska. He grew up there while his dad was going to school there. So my cousin had lived in California right after that, and he's like, "Man, I can't wait to get back to Nebraska. I want to go to school there. I want to live there. The whole deal." So he's now 23, let's say 24, and he lives in Nebraska. He goes to school there. He works for Inside Nebraska. He works for Huddle. He's been doing a lot of stuff. And he's like, "Connor, I don't think I can live here." I was like, "Dude, it was your dream to live in Nebraska." He's like, "Yeah, it's not my dream anymore. I need to get the hell out of here. It's only fun during football season, but even then, it's a little bit slow. I got to be around some more people in a place that's more engaging. Lincoln's not for me," which I thought was really funny because if he can't handle it, there's no way I can live in Lincoln. No knock on Lincoln. It's just, I'm in a different part of the spectrum mentally, and I gotta be in a place where I can explore my options. I should be a celebrity picker on College Game Day, though. That would be amazing. That would bring a lot of clout to Corn Crazed. Every Nebraska fan would know who we are. I do live behind enemy lines. I live right down the street from a new Big Ten school. Right down the street. What are your college football bucket list games? Ohio State versus Michigan, Alabama versus Auburn, etc. So one of them was Alabama LSU, and I went to that game in 2019 when Joe Burrow and LSU pulled off that upset. It was an amazing experience, one of the best football games, arguably the best football game I've ever been to in my life. That one was fantastic. I've been to Florida, Georgia. I've been to Notre Dame, USC. I was supposed to go to Texas, Oklahoma, but something happened. Um, I would say Ohio State, Michigan has got to be one. I got invited last year to go to that game, but I had to focus on content because I was dedicated to you guys in the channel. I wish I would have gone, though. That was an incredible one. But Ohio State, Michigan, I've been to Ohio State, Penn State. I'd probably say Ohio State, Michigan, because Alabama, LSU would have been the other one, and I already knocked that one out. Texas, Oklahoma would be a good one too in the right year, but that's hot. It's hot. It's a middle of the day game. It's just not appealing to me. I enjoy cold weather. Like I enjoyed the Wisconsin Nebraska game in 2014 that I went to. That was awesome. Snowing, fantastic, even though we lost. Portal of Wisdom says, I can relate to your LA lifestyle. I live in Phoenix, 6 hours or less from LA. San Diego, Vegas, skiing, mountains, Rocky Point. Love Nebraska and doses. Prob couldn't live there anymore. Too much to do where I live. That's the thing. You get out and you realize there's some more stuff going on. So I get it. I feel you. Lavender says, I lived in Southern California for about 10 years during the 80s, and I love Lincoln way more. Look, I totally understand, but there are a lot of positives here too. I can tell you there's a lot of cons. I have stories for days about the BS that goes on outside my apartment. But, that's the other thing, Jake. I don't have family or friends in Nebraska. I have friends now. I have all you guys. I would be able to make friends fast in Nebraska, I think. But my mom lives in Orange County. My sister lives in Seattle. My dad lives in Oklahoma. So realistically, I just need to live near an airport. I need to live where I can get around quickly because I travel a lot. In the off season, if you follow me on Instagram, I spend 2 weeks at home and 2 weeks on the road. So a lot of travel for me. But it'd be easy to move around if I was in the middle of the country. So maybe Kansas City. I like Fayetteville, Arkansas. I don't know. Who knows? Dayton says, how many Rose Bowls have you been to? I was at the 2008 Michigan versus USC. I don't know how many I've been to. A few. The most recent one I went to was 2016 USC versus Penn State. Amazing game. Saquon Barkley with the huge run. I think it was like 70 yards. I think it put them up, and then USC came back to win. I was heartbroken. I had $100 on Penn State. That was a tough one, but that was pretty good. Brett says, what was your first ever Husker game? Mine was the 52-7 loss to Missouri back around 2007. I remember watching that game on TV. I think I was in 8th grade or 9th grade, somewhere in there. Painful. My first ever Nebraska game was Nebraska versus Texas Tech when Wes Wilker was on the team back in 2001. Vaguely remember it. I believe I sat in the end zone with my grandpa, and afterwards we went and got Runza. My second Nebraska game, which I remember a lot more, was 2004 against Colorado, and we sat under the deck around the 40-yard line. Remember that one very well. Dale says, just a suggestion, if you come to Lincoln, let's do a meet and greet before the game. Yeah, guys, I'm going to tell you again for anybody who hasn't been here already. When I come to Lincoln for the Wisconsin game on November 19th, I'll be staying in Omaha for 2 nights. I'll be in Lincoln for 1 night. We're going to for sure do a meet and greet after the game outside the stadium. So anybody who didn't get to meet me before can, get a picture, hang out, whatever, talk. Because I want to meet as many of you as I can. And then we'll do a meet and greet before. Maybe we'll do one in a bar in Omaha on like a Thursday night so I can get to meet a few of you. And then maybe on a Friday before the game, we'll do something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we'll for sure do a couple meet and greets because I want to meet as many of you as possible. I promise I'm going to make time for you. You are my priority. You are all the love of my life because I wouldn't be here without you. I wouldn't be making this content. I'd be working some normal job that I don't want to work. So thank you guys all for making it so I don't have to do that. I appreciate the hell out of you. Even if you only like the button, like hit the like button one time or leave one comment on the channel, anything you've done to support the channel makes me love you so much. Jeff says, how did you end up being a huge Husker fan? Short story. I'll make like a full video on this one day. I promise you. Probably in the off season, I'll do like a whole background because everybody wants to know how did I end up a Nebraska fan? What do I do with this channel? Where do I live? What's the whole deal that goes into this operation? I'll break it all down. But for right now, I'm just going to say my whole family's from Nebraska on my mom's side. I was raised in a Nebraska diehard football family. So watching every game, getting all the Nebraska stuff for Christmas and birthdays. Going to Nebraska to see my grandparents twice a year. I was in it. So because I was in it since birth, this has been my whole life. I love Nebraska like no other. I would definitely categorize myself as one of the biggest Nebraska fans in the country. There's no doubt in my mind I'm one of the biggest Nebraska fans in the country. It's like we could debate it, but I would win. I'm a crazy sicko Nebraska fan. I get sick over Nebraska football. Sick over it. People tell me like, oh my God, you take it so seriously. Yeah, you don't understand. This is my life. It's weird. And I figured out a way to make something I'm so passionate about and something I'm so obsessed with my life. Because most people are like, yeah, I've got my job and then my hobby is this. No, this is my life. I am corn crazed. I'm sick. I know. I'm freaking sick. Something wrong with me. But it's okay. I agree with this. I full-heartedly agree. Just like you know how you double tap or retweet something? I just double tapped and retweeted this twice. I'm getting through chat, guys. So my plan for content during the off season, I'm going to be honest. I don't really have a plan. This off season, I'm going to take a step back and reflect on what my skills are and what I want to do going forward and figure out my personal brand and what I want to do. So for Nebraska content, I'm definitely going to try to do from February to July, 2 videos a month. Maybe 3 if there's a third thing to talk about. But on average, I'll do 2 to 3 videos a month because there's just not that much to talk about outside of 2 or 3 a month. And then on the side, I might do some other type of channel. I got to figure it out. I might start Twitch streaming. I don't know. I'm gonna put some thoughts out there, put some feelers, and yeah, I got to figure it out because I really want to continue this kind of career path with YouTube. but I got to get on YouTube somewhere else. I can't just be on Crazed because this will never grow as big as I need it to grow for me to be able to sustain this lifestyle, right? So what's my secondary channel, my other channel that I can build up? Vincent, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Bold calls for tomorrow. Blocked punt, turnovers. All right, I think Nebraska, unfortunately, throws an interception. Start there. They're going to throw at least one, but I do think Nebraska's going to have at least one turnover. I think it's more likely they pick Tommy DeVito off rather than force a fumble, but I do think it's possible. I think there's a chance Nebraska has a crazy play on special teams, whether it is an onside kick because we're playing from behind or whether it is a blocked punt. I really like the blocked punt idea because we already have 2 on the season. Is it 2? Is it 3? It's 1, 2, 3. So because we have multiple block punts, I have a lot of faith that Bill Bush is going to try and scheme another one up, or Joey Connors, or whoever's going to actually call that play. Regardless, if Nebraska finds themselves down, we will see some trick plays. We might see a little jet sweep action from Trey Palmer again. I would love that. We might see Ramir Johnson flexed in there doing some screen passes, something different. I think there's going to be a wrinkle in this offense. There's going to be something that we haven't seen yet because this is the most complex defense we've played. This is the smartest defense we've played. And honestly, they're going to be the most sound fundamentally. So we're not going to break many tackles. Just the truth. We're going to miss blocks and we're going to probably give up some QB hurries. So they're going to have to do something to catch those guys on their toes. And Mark Whipple is supposedly a master at doing that. So I'm hoping he comes up with something and finds a way to catch those guys off guard because we need to figure it out now. It's not time to wait. Let's go out there and win a football game. You know what I'm saying? That's my bold prediction. You guys probably have your own. Here's a bold prediction. Illinois is held scoreless in the second half. I actually don't think that's that bold. I don't have a lot of faith in this Illinois offense. I know they're good. I know they have a great running back, but I don't think they're elite. I mean, they're, what? They're, to me, like Indiana, but more healthy with a strong running back, right? Their quarterback, to me, is like more of a game manager, whereas Connor Bazelak was more of a passer. The running backs are better. Offensive line is probably around the same. Let's see, wide receiver core, probably around the same as Indiana. I mean, this isn't some elite team. Do not get confused. I like that bold prediction, and I'm not going to make it, but I will back it. I do agree that that is very possible. Travis says, do you think you can do a full-time college football channel and do corn craze on the side? Yeah, I don't know how it would work. I don't know what I would do. I'd have to figure it out. I don't know. Everything depends on money, right? Because I'm trying to build a life. So whatever I do, I've got to make sure it makes me enough money to be able to build my life out the way I want to live it. If I did a full-time college football channel, I'd want it to look a little bit like Pat McAfee. So the style of corn craze might change a little bit in the future, but who knows, you know? I don't know. I do really like the Pat McAfee style, and I'd want to get to that point. I just don't know if I'd want to do college football or college and NFL or something else. I'm figuring it out. We'll see once we get there. I think that's the best way to say it. Another bold prediction from Super Frick is Illinois rushes for 600. Huskers throw 3 picks, and they lose 50-10. Wow. Yeah, I think that's a long shot. I think that's pretty bold. A little bit too bold, but yeah, I'm not sure. Their line has played Minnesota, who's the best. I think that's the best defense they've played. So yeah, their line is decent. They're not Ohio State. Don't get confused. This team is really good for the competition they've played, and they're really sound fundamentally. But this is not like an NFL football team we're playing against. Don't get confused. They're good, but they're not as good as what the numbers say. You know what I mean? If I did Pat McAfee style, who would be my weekly Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. I would have to figure out my entire team. I'd have to figure out who my weekly guests would be. I'd really have to dig in. I've got a lot of relationships, so I'd be able to get some fun guests on. That's the thing. If I started another channel, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of relationships and people I'm connected with in high places, and I can make some fun content. I just got to figure out what I want to do. I don't know yet. We'll see. Time will tell, like I said. Who do you think the best Wait, who do you think is the best bad coach in the Big Ten West? I don't understand best bad coach, so I'm just going to say who the best coach in the Big Ten West is. I think the best coach in the Big Ten West is probably Brett Bielema. He's proven it twice at 2 different schools. A second choice would be Jeff Brom. He's really good. And a third choice would probably be PJ Fleck. Yeah, probably that. Another bold prediction. Tommy Hill will score a touchdown tomorrow, maybe even 2. I'd be shocked if it was 2. I'd be shocked if it was 1. But if he does, that'd be insane. I would love that. And I see so many repeat questions because new people are coming into the chat. I've answered some of these, so just bear with me. Have you ever considered getting Carricker on this channel? Yeah, Carricker did not reach out to request. I've reached out a bunch of times. He's not interested, unfortunately, but that's all good. Do you see a waning in football as a whole? The younger generation has been accused of not caring about football. How do we keep the game relevant? I don't see that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think people really enjoy football, and I think there are enough people on the planet to make it so that football stays fun for, a good majority of kids growing up. At least boys. I don't know about girls, but there are a lot of other hobbies people are going to have, like, video games, let's say. But there's also an increase in population numbers, so I think there will always be a market for college football and a market for the NFL too. So just a thought. Yeah, Brom just threw for 700 yards with a walk-on unranked QB. Yeah, Brom's legit. Are we talking about Brom being a top 3 coach that I had mentioned? Or are we talking about Nebraska's defense being bad? What are we referencing here? Starting offensive line tomorrow will look the same as last week unless, well, let me think. Let me pull it up, guys, because I don't even remember now off the top of my head. Nebraska depth chart. We've been going for a long time. We're 2 hours and 15 minutes in, so we'll wrap up soon, but I do want to make sure I get my final questions in. Your final questions in. Nebraska depth chart against Illinois. At right tackle, we got Bryce Benhart or Hunter Anthony. Hunter Anthony had a really bad game last week, so I don't know. Both of them are struggling. Brock Bando will probably start over Henry Lutovsky this week if he's healthy, but Mickey says that could be a game-time decision. So I don't know about that one. That's kind of the one to watch, Brock Bando. We really need him, but not sure if it'll happen. And my other channel should be streaming the new NCAA football game, I think. I'm not as big on them. I like Madden, but I don't play it very much. The game I really will play is NCAA football. So when that one comes out, get ready because I will be playing that. I will be streaming it. That will be super fun. And you'll be playing it with me. Bold prediction, Nebraska doesn't make a fair catch on every punt, I assume. Yeah, I hope Nebraska returns a couple. They have the number 1 return game, I think, in the Big Ten. Something like that, Big Ten or Big Ten West, with like 35 yards, which is insane. Don't know how they're number 1, but either way. Do I trust Purdy or Smothers with the future? I think Purdy has a really good shot. I think the right scheme is going to tell us how good he can be. So, who knows, man? It's too early to tell. But guys, tonight's been a great show. I've got the merch on the website. I'm wearing it right here. Got a wristband on right here too. If you guys want to get the stickers and support the show, here is what comes in the sticker pack. That's like the little metallic one. This is the Corn Crazed one. This is the 402 with the Corn Crazed text. The Corn Crazed with the Lincoln Skyline. And then the standard Corn Crazed sticker. This is the metallic looking one on my laptop. Looks pretty freaking cool. Anyway, sticker packs are on our website. It's corncrazed.com, as simple as it gets. T-shirts are there. I already sold out of almost all the 402 tees, and now we've got a few tees left in every size for the other 2 black ones. And then for the hoodies, we sold a bunch of 402 hoodies and a bunch of the Social Club hoodies, so sizes are dwindling there. But we still got merch, so if you want to get merch, corncrazed.com. Every dollar goes to helping me support this channel because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to run it. Tomorrow night, I will be back on here. What time? The game will be at 12:30 my time. It ends at, let's say, 3:30. Who knows what time it ends? Roughly 3:30. So we'll say 20 minutes after the game or 15 minutes after the game, we'll be on here. and I'll give you guys a reaction to what happened. If we win, bang, it's going to be a crazy video. If we lose, we'll still have a lot to talk about. Either way, it's going to be a good time. We probably won't be on for as long as we normally are. Usually the post-game stream is, hour, 2 hours. Tomorrow's won't be that long because there's other football games that we all want to watch. So maybe a 30-minute reaction and then back to college football. But yeah, I'm really excited for tomorrow. I hope you guys are too. And yeah, I won't do the press conference on my show though. I'm gonna have you guys watch the press conference on the side, like before the show starts, and then when the show starts, press conference will be done, and we'll do our thing. Tomorrow the game is at 12:30 Pacific, Jose. 12:30 Pacific. I'll be sitting on my couch watching it, drinking a smoothie. I will be coming home from the gym probably, and I'm going to be ready and pumped up to watch it. All right, guys, if you didn't get to watch the full stream, you can go back to the beginning of it now that I'm posting it up. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Go Big Red.